I just didn't have it this year. Last year I rode really well here. Obviously Bryson wasn't here, but yeah, I struggled all day. So I was a roadblock for about 4 riders there for a long time, and then finally just tried to do something, try to get away a little bit at the end. And I heard a bike coming. I didn't know if it was Hart or Neil, but yeah, just didn't have it at the end. So you know, I did the best I could, and I know that. So yeah, I'll go to the last race and do the best I can, and you know, we'll see what happens.
A roadblock's a really humble way to describe.
Yeah, no, I mean,
it was a lot of a train track.
Yeah, but man, if you can ask anybody, the pace was slow. I mean, we took a 5-lap race, and I was able to go slow enough to make it a 4. So I'll take credit for a 4-lap race for sure.
How was it?
Oh, it was good. You know, Jared was behind us. Bryson was behind him all the way. And I was 4th, and I caught up to James' helmet. The fun was it got over each other. You know, I think there was a lot of us up front. Like I said, I was kind of scared to look behind to see how many were back there. But overall, a good day. The track was really nice. Not a lot of passes on it, I feel like, in the woods, but you know, the jump sections made it fun and makes it a little bit easier and kind of gives you a second look when you know where it's at this woods. But yeah, the track was made, perfect weather, and couldn't be more pumped.
Yeah, I got a win. Not too bad. Oh, dude, the first couple laps, I was just telling them, I was riding like a first-year racer. I was like bouncing off trees, and I came to the pits, and I told my dad, I was like, dude, I can't get in the flow. He was like, I said a little something I shouldn't have said, and last 2 laps put it down and come back with a win, so that's pretty sweet.
So you really focused.
More t-shirts. Walker Fowler going long.
We'll be all right. I'm not worried about it. What I'm worried about is deer hunt. It's deer season, baby. Racing's over. We ain't got nothing to do. Us adrenaline junkies got to get in the tree.
To go today.
Oh yeah, as long as my fingers don't freeze, we're good. My toes are pretty cool.
Your toes?
Yeah.
What about your fingers?
Little nippy. My fingers are great, but my toes are always cool. Well, yeah, it's probably better my fingers are good, because then when you can't feel the brake in the clutch, it's never fun.
That's not good.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
Great. Box of fluffies.
What?
A box of fluffies.
What does that mean?
Fantastic.
Great. Awesome.
I'm doing great. How could I not be? I'm on a dirt bike at a GNCC. The sun's up. I'm stoked. I'm just happy to be here racing. So
With that mentality, it's probably top of the box.
that's what I'm feeling anyway.
That's what
We're
you're
gonna give
feeling?
it my all.
Good luck today.
Thank you. It's actually super sick. Like the fields you can just send it, but in the woods it's getting slippery. But so many ruts you can just send it into like a motocross track. It's so much fun. I enjoyed it. I made a bubble on the first lap and was in fourth. But once I got into the lead, I just felt comfortable, even though Rachel was right there. But there was a bottleneck on the last lap, made things a lot more hectic than I wanted it to be. But it was good. I just rode smooth to the end and had fun. Yeah.
It's gnarly. It's very sketchy. You really have to get a flow going. It's really easy to tuck that front wheel. A lot of rocky, slick turns. So yeah, you have to kind of be on edge. I've been second in the championship the last 2 years by 1 point both times. So it's about time I take it over. But yeah, we're in a pretty good spot to win the championship, so I'm excited for the last round.
Really big positive day for me. Obviously, I want to be up in the middle of the box, but after 6 days, my body was pretty shot, so we're finally getting it built back up. Thanks to Steve and Denise Hatch. So yeah, we're getting better. Lots of positive to take from the weekend.
Dude, that gear is so cool.
First time I've seen it.
Oh.
Looks good, looks good.
You look good in it.
I appreciate it. Hopefully I can pull it off out on the track, you know?
Oh,
That's what matters.
It's podium material.
It would look good on the box.
I don't know. Just kind of kitted up, I guess. Just Captain America. A waffle today. I didn't have any gummy bears, so it's kind of bummed.
No, I like to push myself to the last second. That way I get the jitters out while I'm getting dressed, not on the starting line. What I'm worried about is deer hunt.
I see you already have the orange on.
Yeah, oh heck yeah. It's gonna be the hot seller at Ironman. I got more camo. I got camo coolers. We got it all. It's coming. It's coming. It's deer season, baby. Racing's over. We ain't got nothing to do. Us adrenaline junkies got to get in the tree. was a lot of trading pain out there. Just not much passing. The last two tracks have been tough. I think it's been a little drier, a little narrower. You know, last year we saw a lot of lines forming out in the track. So I think the GNCC crews tried to make it where less big lines form. But what it's done is just make less lines in general. So you know, it's great for racing, but it's difficult. It's difficult to make passes and get ahead of guys. So fun days.
You say difficult to pass, but you were outside of the top battle and made it up through the battle to the lead.
Yeah, I never actually made any passes. I think like head to head on a rider. I don't think I made a pass all day. It was more like sitting in, waiting for a mistake and hoping that it happened and just being in the right place, right time. So luckily we had a lot of speed today. The bike was handling great, and you know, things just started clicking off there towards the last couple laps.
What did you think of the hill climb?
Walk in the park. I thought it was walk in the park.
Yeah, it looks good.
You had to slow down, time it. If you raced into it, you had issues. Every time I tried going fast I actually went around it the first lap. That's why I lost that. That's why I lost the group and lost some positions. But everybody piled in. I was a little bit nervous on what it would look like with 7 guys, 6 guys on the same line. So checked up, but it was a good day.
Man, it was a rough one. Like, got a great jump on the start. Was right there, gonna be in second. Got T-boned in the first corner by some guy that shouldn't have been out there with us, honestly. About busted my hand up, and I was pretty mad all day, and just tried to put my head down and just stay consistent and keep the guys behind me, and yeah, we ended up second, and yeah, I'm happy, but I'm bummed at the same time. Just get out of here, and we'll go to the next round.
Yeah, it's like we're all so much together. It's like the race almost starts like 2 laps to go, and that's kind of lately, like, I've been feeling strong, and that's where I feel like I kind of, you know, loosen up and get ready to roll. And I need to kind of position myself up a little bit farther. Like Stu kind of pushed himself up to the front, and then, but you know, he got that gap and just kind of rode away, and I need to be there with him. I feel like I have a little more speed and a little more in the tank. Just need to position myself a little better.
Stu mentioned that it was a tough track to pass, wasn't it?
It's very tough. It was you had to really pick your spots and like be aggressive. It was like it was technical, it was slick. Like I got up to 4th and like I bobbled, just a simple bobble up a hill, man. I got passed by 2 guys, and I'm like, okay, well, back to the back again, you know, like.
That's awesome. I mean, it's been a long year. It's been up and down. Last round didn't go my way. Got sick, and I was just blessed that the other guys in the championship, they had mistakes too. So come out today and knew I had to give it everything, and even got the win. I got around Johnny on the last lap. He fell, but yeah, it was an awesome race. I just got a good start and was kind of up front, and then I just would follow, and then Johnny would make a mistake, I'd get back in front, and it was like back and forth a bit, and on the last lap he fell, I got around him, and I knew I had to hold him off to the finish. I don't know, it's been wild, to be honest. Yeah, I really wanted to get this done this year, and I'm just pumped to get it done.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, this thing's only 80 pounds. All right, there we go. Make some noise for your top 3 in the XC1. Bang! Popping bottles on the GNCC podium. Get you some! Cheers! That sweet, sweet taste of a top 3 finish here at GNCC. Ladies and gentlemen, your XC2 national champion, Lyndon Snodgrass. There it is. Cheers! Get you some! That sweet, sweet taste of a national championship right there. Make some noise one more time. Your XC2 national champ, Lyndon Snodgrass. Your national champion of the FMF XC3, Brody Johnson.
We all have our reasons to accomplish, to work hard. We share a common goal, to be the best. Keep fighting, put in the work, never take the easy way. Your drive and determination fuels our passion.
This Racer TV broadcast is brought to you by Specialized. Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready. And tell the first official you see where the injured rider can be found. We will get help on the way. Once the checker flag is thrown, our sweep crew will check the course to make sure all riders and machines are retrieved. Pit crews, if you are missing a rider, please notify the finish line scorer. Riders, if you break down, stay with your machine unless you are injured. Our crew cannot tow out a machine without a rider to steer it. Your race will be 3 hours long.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the description of today's course and what we have to look forward to as far as this final race of the year. Your trail boss and co-course designer, Mr. Ryan Eccles.
Thanks, Rodney. Yeah, I mean, look at this weather. You can't beat this. For being out here this late in the year, usually it's always cold, but it's actually super good out there, guys. You guys are going to take off from the start here, and you'll head into the woods just at the 1 mile mark. You have a little section of woods there before you head back out here into this field. Earlier, the turns were really hard packed and everything, and they were good to go, but I'd say it's starting to loosen up, so be careful in those berms. Don't just push it in there. It might be a little soft, put you down, so you guys will make it around that. Back down the woods, you have a little piece of woods. Jump back out into some cornfield at the 2, back into the woods. You guys will do those little up and downs back in there. There should be pretty fun, guys. The actually second race had no problems with it. You guys shouldn't either. How to take you down over the hill. Ironman Hill. There's no go around. If you guys seen that going up the little valley, that was just for that 10 a.m. race. So you guys can't go up the valley. That was only for that 10 a.m. race. So you got to go up Ironman Hill. Come down the other side. You either go up the Raccoon Hollow there, or you can go up the hill. They're about the same speed, really, guys. It's going up the hill or going around. That'll take you over to the 3 mile mark on the other side of the road. Fast little piece there to take you down along the creek. That stuff is actually pretty good down through there, guys. It's closer to the creek, keeps a little bit more moisture. I'll bring you back out into the cornfield there, guys. It's really windy out there. We're trying to keep up everything. We have the turn poles up. We have the repeater out there. Just keep going around all those turn poles, guys. It's really windy over in that field for whatever reason. But that gets you over to the 4 mile mark. You guys get into that log section. You guys, like we said, you go right, you go left. If you go right, you got a couple logs to go over. If you go left, it's smooth, just more turns. I'll bring you back across the cornfield and our little piece of woods. Short piece of cornfield, another piece of woods, and then a little longer piece of field there to bring you back over to the 5 mile mark. You'll come back across the 5, head down over the hill, cross over the creek just down from Ironman Hill there. Some zigzags back and forth over to the 6, take you in Enchanted Forest. And you guys up and downs over there, guys, those are probably some of the worst hills out here. The ones just over here to the right of the start, they're real silt. I mean, it's a couple feet deep in there. They did go down to the creek. I put an arrow down there where you can come back up to that. And when you get through all that, you guys are going to come to a downhill. I cannot stress to you guys enough to be careful in that downhill. There's probably 20 dangers on that thing. There's a lot of silt. It comes down, and it'll tie you back in right there at the 7-mile mark. So please be careful there at the first lap, at least until you see it. You cross the creek after the 7. You can go up Jimmy Hill. You go around that. You'll work your way out through the top there, and then that's where you guys will break off from where everybody else is. You guys will break off into that PM section. It'll take you down through that gorge. When you get halfway or 3/4 of the way down that gorge, it's up to you guys. Big hill climb on the left. If you're a good hill climber, go for it. If you're not so good at it, go for it anyways. All the spectators want to see you do it. So go straight up it, or we actually let you, if you go to the right line up the hill, you can go up and then turn right and take this little deer path down. It'll take you to the where you can turn left into the gorge. So it's up to you, but if you want to send it, I think everybody down there would appreciate it. So that'll get you back up out of that. Head back over to the 8-mile mark. You'll have that little more open stuff back across the field there down to the Monster Mile. And you're back up over the hill. That stuff from the Monster Mile all the way up past the 9-mile mark is super silty, guys. So just be careful in there with the roots getting disguised and everything. So after the 9, you guys will break off again from everybody. You guys will break on some fresh stuff for you guys. Be careful in there that first lap, like we always say. You guys are going to be the first ones in there all weekend, so that means it's probably going to be a little dusty when you get in there. So you work your way through that, a couple different little ravines you go through, and that'll bring you back over. Come back down on the motocross staging lane, over to the 2-way, over the 10-mile mark, get into that other little bike-only piece that everybody's been running all day long. That'll bring you across that over to 11. A little bit of trackside there. Back down over the hill at that rocky bottom at the 12-mile mark. And you'll get through that. Just be careful in there, guys. I bet you the whoops down there now are 4 foot tall, if I'm just imagining. That'll bring you back up out of there. You guys will come up out of the creek right there. You guys are going to make a right. You'll go through the Bike Pro pits, back down that 2-way. They'll bring you over on the moto track, a little bit of piece of moto track. Finish line, through the infield, another little piece of moto track. It'll bring you across the creek down there, the Monster Mile, some zigzags, over to Twin Hills and up Twin Hills and back to here. So you guys are right at 14 miles. Should be a lot of fun, guys. Just be careful in that silt, guys, at least the first lap when you guys are charging. And hit that hill. Everybody's waiting on you.
Safety first. GNCC racing, like all motorsports, can be dangerous. Racers, now that you have had an opportunity to inspect the course, have heard the race procedures and a description of the course, if you feel that either you or your machine is not prepared, then now is the time for you to withdraw for a complete refund of your entry fee, no questions asked. It is your responsibility to operate your machine in a safe manner, maintaining control at all times. Extreme caution is required when approaching areas with high concentrations of fans. Do not take unnecessary risks that endanger the safety of fans. You will be penalized for reckless racing. Race fans, crew members, and family members. Due to the nature of GNCC racing, there is no fence barrier around the race course. It is your responsibility to keep yourself and your children a safe distance from the race course. Never turn your back on oncoming racers. Use extreme caution when crossing the race course. And remember, stay off the track. For the safety of everyone, unauthorized drones are prohibited and may be confiscated. And finally, unauthorized pit vehicles are prohibited and may be confiscated. Absolutely no pit vehicles permitted in the woods or on the racetrack.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the home office in Morgantown, West Virginia, our Director of Operations, Mr. Tim Cotter.
Thank you, Rodney. You know, each year here at Ironman, with October being Cancer Awareness Month, we put an effort together for now probably 10 years or more for our community to raise money to combat cancer. And these funds have gone to the Montgomery County Community Free Clinic, and Yamaha has stepped up and said, okay, for every class champion, they're donating $50, and for every Ironman win, it's $50, and they are over $5,000 in their donations. There's been other folks in our paddock area that have donated some money. KTM has donated, I believe, $1,000. Vicki Fowler put a sizable donation, and GNCC Racing Family through Racer Productions will make sure that it goes to at least $10,000. So with us today is Devin Plant. He is the CEO of the Montgomery County Foundation. Presenting the check today is Yamaha Motor Corporation USA, Steve Nessel, and Jennifer Davey. On behalf of all of GNCC families, we thank you all for participating, and we are proud to give this community $10,000. This is always a great event with a pink theme, and that's why you see so many riders wearing their pink gear, and we are honored to be able to do that to our community. Folks, as we get ready to start our final race of the 2022 campaign, we will start it just as we have started it for many, many years. To present our prayer and to put us in an attitude of prayer is Ricky Towery.
Thank you, Tim. Hey, let's go, Lord, and let's have a word of prayer together this afternoon. Heavenly Father, once again, we thank you for bringing us all together safely so we can have some fun. You blessed us with such a beautiful day. We ask you to just watch over these riders this afternoon, Lord. Keep them safe. Let them go out there and have a good time together. Once again, we thank you for the Shaver family for letting us use this property to have some fun on. Continue to watch over our military men and women in all places of the world. Be with our leaders each and every day. They'll make the right decisions for our country. Lord, we ask a special blessing for the Harris family. If you would be with that family in the days and weeks to come, that they could find some comfort through you. Also, we ask that you be with Chuck LeMasters. He's our friend and our pastor. Help him get healed up quickly as possible. Lord, we know the holiday season are right around the corner. We just ask that when Thanksgiving gets here, we can spend some time with our families and remember what it's all about and give you some thanks for what you do for us each and every day. And then when Christmas rolls around, help us remember what it's all about. You sent your son to us. He grew up and died on the cross so our sins could be forgiven. Lord, we've had so much fun this year. We come down to the final race. We just ask that you be with us this afternoon and just let us have a few more hours this afternoon of fun. And then when it's over with, we ask that you take us all home safely so we can get back together again one day to have some more fun. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Thank you, Ricky. And now, as we get ready to present our national anthem, I ask all of you for the next 1 minute and 30 seconds to join singing, listen to the words, and appreciate the freedoms that we have here in the United States of America. So let's all join singing as we honor America.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Oh, yeah, folks, there you have it. Our stage is nearly set. GNCC Racing is ready to roll into the final round of 2022. But before we do that, my friends, we must clear this starting line of our Monster Energy Activation Transport as DJ Judd. Oh, yeah, that's right. We got, hey, see, that's how it is. That's how excited I am to get this race underway here today. So, thank you, DJ. I knew we hired you for a purpose. So, at this particular point, let's meet our starting lineup. Rolling to the line today in accordance to points here in this final round of GNCC Racing after 12 rounds of this Grand National Cross Country Series. And of course, rolling to the line first today, he is second in this Grand National Cross Country Championship, riding aboard the number 342 from Morgantown, Pennsylvania, on the Rockstar Energy Factory Husqvarna, Craig DeLong. Rolling to the line next, he is fourth in points. He rides aboard the number 212 from DuPont, Washington, on the Coastal Gas Factory Racing Machine. He's rough, he's rowdy, Ricky Russell. Our rider next to the line, sixth in points, riding aboard the number 206 from Winsted, Connecticut, on a Factory Racing FMF KTM, Josh Toe. Rolling to the line next aboard the 514 from Hodges, South Carolina, on the Am-Pro Yamaha, Stu Baylor. And he is 10th in points. Rolling to the line next aboard the 989 from Williamstown, West Virginia, on the Rockstar Energy Factory Husqvarna, Van Duval. And of course, welcoming some new faces to this front row here in the 2022 season. First, including aboard the 969 from Boonville, North Carolina, on the Coastal Gas Factory Racing Machine, Johnny G. Jonathan Gerard. From Austria, riding aboard the number 418 Factory Gas, Giacomo Ridondi. And last and certainly not least, visiting from the Isle of Man on the Motory Chrissy Route Racing Kawasaki, Tom Knight. And then, ladies and gentlemen, your starting lineup for this, the Yamaha Racing Ironman GNCC. And yes, my friends, Isle of Man, the name Knight, that is the nephew of former GNCC champion David Knight, taking a visit with us here today. We're glad to have him. And now, I guess we can get on to the affairs that I tried to push on us just a few moments ago. Now, DJ Judd, remove the beat as the Monster Energy Activation Transport makes its way off one final time here in 2022. And this Yamaha Ironman GNCC is nearly set to go as the stage has been cleared, and Ricky Towery has a clear view into this front row and to this nearly 300 rider field of riders ready to ride off into history here today at the Shaver Family Farm in Crawfordsville, Indiana. Ricky Towery steps out from behind that first turn as he gets set to signal these riders and orchestrate this symphony of starts we know and love as GNCC. 1 minute before the Ironman GNCC gets underway. One final time, race fans. The butterflies across the field as these final revs on these machines, and they await that blue flag to wave. The final 30-second call of 2022. And there it is, my friends. The blue flag is out. Less than 30 seconds to go. Shut them down. Shut them down. Shut them down. Oh, and as things go quiet across the GNCC Racing Nation, I got to ask you, Indiana race fans, are you ready to go GNCC racing? All right, guys, I know it. That was okay, but I'm just going to say this. I'm going to ask you one final time. Are you ready to go GNCC racing? 10 seconds. And row number 1, the XC1 Pro, will be off and rolling at the Yamaha Racing Ironman GNCC. It's the 212, the Coastal Gas of Ricky Russell, the rough and rowdy one, Bad Thad Duvall opening up in second, and Stu Baylor, the 514 in the number 3 spot. XC2 250 Pro Class coming up next. Ryder Lafferty, Benjamin Herrera, Angus Riordan, Vincent Smith, Cody Barnes, Mason Simmons, Lyndon Snodgrass, Liam Draper, Nathaniel Tasha, Bubs, Jesse Ansley, Evan Smith, Rui Barbosa, Simon Johnson, and Jonathan Johnson in 10 seconds. Well, Simon, one goes down. Simon Johnson off to a good start, and Simon Johnson will nail the start. 1:15. Oh, we got it sliding through there. Thread and needles. Bubs Tasha trying to get that front wheel straightened up down here as we go to the FMF XC3 125 Pro Am. 10 seconds. Toby Cleveland, Bertie Johnson, Dominic Morris, Eli Childers, Matthew Sims, Max Fernandez, Dakota DeVore, Jason Lipscomb, Mac Reimer, and Jake Froman. .7:15, Mac Reimer. Reimer out of Saxonburg, Pennsylvania. A low jack cycle cells. Reimer and Bell helmets back ride. As we go to the Open A class coming up next in 10 seconds. Neil Edmond, Tanner Whipple, Ezra Prine, Lucas Hull, Huck Jenkins, Logan Kiddick, Cole Kirkhoff, Dustin Feller, Hunter Bush, Dylan Dela Cruz, Max Hart, Blake Best, Benjamin Ward, Lane Smith, Tucker Grooms, Kenton Coleman, Cole Whitmer, Peyton Harden, Samuel Evans, Joshua Ellison, Hunter Smith. It's the number 40, Tanner Whipple from Kelowna, Illinois on a Moto Armory Babbitt's Motorsports WFO Promotions backed ride, grabbing the early lead in this one. To the 258 class, JoJo Cunningham, Tyler Palmer, Cooper Jones, Zachary Davidson, Jason Tino. 10 seconds. Benjamin Wright, Garrett Mundy, Bolton Baroth, Will Sievenpiper, Kyle Pittman, Sebastian Taverne, Braden Nolette, Jacob Prevey, Michael DeLosa, Trevor Maley, Tommy Watson, Grant Davis rounding the first turn now. It's the Kawasaki pilot. Oh, maybe the 199 of Zachary Davidson going to get the whole shot, but the 501 machine, I believe that was actually the 21 of JoJo Cunningham grabbing that early lead out of that first turn. 158, Chase Goslin, Jack Walker, Daniel Starnes, and Nathan Priest in 10 seconds. I believe that's actually Nathan Prieb, Frontenac, Minnesota. Whoa! 5:20 going to snag the lead. Chase Goslin out of Pownell, Virginia. Jack Walker side goes down. He slides it out, but good effort, no doubt. 4-stroke 8 lights. 10 seconds. Ryan Piper, Colton Shields, Levi Elliott, Caleb Baltimore, Lance Machino, Nick DeFeo, Chase Landers, Ty Ely, Matthew Hollenbeck, Lane Humphries, Mitchell Owenby, Luke Brown, Christian Burke, Samuel Hinkey, Gavin Piper, Ryder Rozek, Caleb Weaver, Van Adams, Luke Scheck, Matthew Davis, Nick DeFeo from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Battery Park Off-Road Kawasaki grabbing the early lead. Also Peyton Feather, Jacob Carter, Lane Whitmer, Cole Forbes, and Matthew Davis, Luke Shefnick, and Van Adams out there. Junior 8:25. 10 seconds. Sam Shaver, Mark Simprini, Wyatt Ford, Justin Dennis, Matt Servin, Adam Machinsky, Charkey Hugel, Brady Myers, Andrew Boggs, Joshua Hensley, and Braden Moore. 8:21, Brady Myers from Walker, West Virginia on a Lemon Barrett's Power Sports Kenda Tire 989 racing back drive. The Vet A 30-plus class, Danny Haftel, Chance Mullins, Randy Vickery, Michael Funk, John Eggers, Brandon Cook, Mark Horesco, Max Fries, Shane O'Banion, Bradley Kammer, Mike Wendricks. 10 seconds. Aaron Preeb, Joe Barr, Jimmy Pruder, Shay Dickinson, James Bauer, Robbie Norwood, Todd Jokum, and Mequias Gomez, I'm sorry. .470. Shay Dickinson from East Peoria, Illinois on a Fly Racing Factory Connection IMS back ride. Senior A 40-plus class coming up next. 10 seconds. Joe Marsh, Frank, that's smiling Frank Machina, Shotgun Sean Remington, Vinnie Tomic, Bill Gold, Joel Burdine, Nick Hoskins, Nick Stolz, Brian Johnson, Leigh Wilfong, Steve Osei, Mike Capodici, Larry Silva, Corey Thorson, and Darren Darmos. The 76 of Shotgun Sean Remington pulls one more out of New Salem, Pennsylvania, the Moose Kenda Factory Connection back ride. Actually call that Coastal Gas. I don't think he's ever changed his sponsors. 10 seconds. Open B, Brian Rezotarski, Alston Hovetter, Carl Theodore, Dalton Young, Isaac Prunty, Aiden White, Peyton Anderson, John Wood, Jacob Maynard, Matthew McCormick, and Nathan Sheets off and rolling now. I think that was 888 gas. Vanderbilt PA's Matthew McCormick. 250 B class. 10 seconds. Andrew Inman, Chandler Taylor, Eric Timberlake, Tyler Shields, Braden Croft, Blake Bancroft, Caleb Lane, Ty Atkinson, Jack O'Sell, Caleb Hines, Rooney Lee, Devin Moore, also Brandon Vanelli, Logan Pellegrini, along with Peter Schmidt, Kalina Humphrey. The 333, I see that looked like got that whole shot, but I don't see him on my paper here. But Ross Warner, Ryder Marshall, John Houston, Peyton Wilds, Ryan Pettis, and Theodore Dean. .150 B class coming up next. 10 seconds. Robert Weiss, Van Gosselin, Gavin Hampton, Camden Cookerham, also Gunnar Ferdig, Thor Powell, Alec Kessling, James Meek, Randall Zierden, Braden Cole, Ranger Emmons, Andrew Seegers, Ryan Gribben, Mickey Moon, and also Sidney Tierra. It may have been 366 of Van Gosselin there from Pownell, Virginia on a Trail Jesters Moose Racing Edwin Sells back ride. 10 seconds. 4-stroke B lights. Landon Beatty, Clayton Robbins, Ryan Deal, Thomas Allen, Brady Beerbaum, Brian Kubix, Rayleigh Messer, Tanner Martin, Connor Carrier, Aiden McCrary, Brendan King, Harrison Gafford, Brock Belsel, Griffin Coleman, Nicholas Thompson. I believe that was Wade Tucker, the 788 from Spencer, Indiana, grabbing the lead on the Spikes KTM Hoosier Graphics and Cherubies back ride. As we go next to the Junior B 25 plus in 10 seconds. Alex Grunder, Benjamin Fricks, Devin Hall, Thor Church, Ryan Miller, Kyle Davis, Jeff Elliott, Jacob Staten, Aaron Waldrop, Taylor Myers, Colton Hawk, John Bottomy, Duncan Dant, Seth Ferguson, and Billy Saliga. Alex Grunder from DeWitt, Iowa on the 260 Yamaha, backed by D&W A Standard and Wife. 10 seconds. That B30 plus class, Adam Odell, Scott Hopper, Zachary Taylor, Julio Libiana, Britt Dunlap, Thad Creasy, Tassi Duarte, David Antelis, Jimmy Bechter, Marty Robbins, Joseph Ward, Nick Plank, Clayton Omer, also Matthew Daughtery, Ryan Ford, Ben Odell, Ryan Trent, Kurt Zimmerman, Daniel Sortman, Ryan Casimir, also Casimir, actually, Matthew Adams, Joseph Klemp, and Zachary Sanders. 10 seconds. Senior B coming up next with Adam Nastic, Cody Hosta, Corey Fellers, George Kleins, Joseph Ramos, Martin Fortier, William McBain, Jason Cottrell, Brent Belsel, Andy Whitmer, Dan Majors, Chris Kite, Dave Younglis, and Brent Maynard. 184, Cody Hosta from Xenia, Ohio on a KRW Cycles, Clayton and Recluse backed ride, grabbing the lead there. And by golly, that's it. 275 plus riders, I believe, out here on the course today. And they are off and rolling. The final round of 2022, we are -1 Jordan Ashburn due to an injury at the last round where he won the national championship, broke his thumb, so he's not on the starting line today, but he will wear number 1 in 2023. He'll be joining us in Racer TV booth here in just a few moments, and of course Mikey Waynes, Johnny Gallagher as well on the other side of this on RacerTV.com.
We all have our reasons to accomplish, to work hard. We share a common goal, to be the best. Keep fighting, put in the work, never take the easy way. Your drive and determination fuels our passion.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond, because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
Ben Kelly here, 2021 GNCC champion. Subscribe to Racer X and get yourself a fresh FMF t-shirt.
This Racer TV broadcast is brought to you by Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. Mikey Wayne's here. You've already heard from our colleague Rodney Tomlin, and we are joined in the booth by the freshly retired from XC1 Pro Class, Johnny Gallagher. Johnny, how's retirement treating you?
You know, I think we're about 18 hours into it. No, not even.
Not even, no.
Yeah, maybe
getting close. Okay.
Yeah, we're probably 18, 20 hours into it, and it feels good, man.
Good.
I enjoyed myself yesterday evening. I found out what it feels like when you try to be Stu Baylor, but you're not Stu Baylor. So this morning was a little rough, but we're ready to roll, man. We're here to watch some racing, and man, what an amazing weekend we've had here so far. Starting off, obviously, with the beautiful weather. We've got a great track layout here, and it really has been exciting racing all weekend long. For those of you that are just tuning in for this, if it is your first trip to Racer TV for the weekend, you didn't watch with us yesterday, we're going to let you know it's a little dry. And by a little dry, I mean I don't think there's any moisture in the state of Indiana at the moment besides that creek we just looked at. But what we're looking at right here is Ironman Hill, and we're looking at somebody not making it up. So this is obviously one of the spectator highlights for this event every year. Ironman Hill, you can see the spectators at the top there lining. They're down at the bottom. Things have been changed up where we no longer allow them on the hill itself. Things were getting a little dangerous, but you can see we've got a banana.
The banana is the exception.
Helping out one of our riders who obviously had some struggles. So Ironman Hill made exponentially more difficult this year because of the silt. When you come out of the creek, you can see that the ruts are pretty deep through here. You pick up a little water in the creek, makes it slick coming out, and then suddenly you hit all the silt that the ATVs and the morning race, first time ever racing and using Ironman Hill, all that silt down at the bottom now. So it's almost like they have to go through a silt field before they can even start climbing the hill, Mikey.
Gnarly. So, again, taking a look at that Ironman Hill here. There is the 2-1-2 of Ricky Russell. And last we saw, he did grab that hole shot as well. So, I think he is still out in front. And I believe it was Thad and Stu following in second and third. So, we'll see if we've got the 989.
You know, Mikey, I was going to say when we don't do our, keys to the race and we're watching Supercross, but one of the keys to the race today is going to be start. Hole shot. Get out front, make dust, make everybody else chase you, and it's going to be difficult to see. This section, not as much, but there's places where the dust is so thick. One bike is kicking up so much dust, the riders behind him are virtually going to have to come to a stop. That, I believe, is what's causing this big gap that we're seeing here early, allowing the 2-1-2 of Ricky Russell on that Coastal Racing gas to jump out to a big lead. Here is your number 2 rider, Thad Duvall, 989 on the Rockstar Husqvarna. There you kind of see a little bit more of what the dust is like. Josh Toth up into P3, the 206 on that factory Red Bull FMF KTM. Stu Baylor in 4th, and you can see the dust just thickening. The riders back in 5, 6, 7. 4 first, I guess. No, that was 4th, 5th. Craig DeLong there coming through in the 5th place spot. 6th place looks like it's going to be the new XC1 rider, the 969 of Jonathan Gerard, last year's XC2 champ. And there is, was that Snodgrass? Looked to be Snodgrass there. Then it's the 413, I believe, if we have a rider registration here is, and this may be news, perhaps is Snodgrass running XC1? Or did he already work his... Okay, so Snodgrass, that appeared to be Snodgrass that had already worked his way... Oh, sorry, Tom Knight, visiting rider, yes, okay, sorry, from the Isle of Man. Yes, that was likely Tom Knight there in would have been the 8th place spot when they came through. We don't see any other XC2 riders just yet. The dust is really starting to fill the screen here. Now we see some XC2 riders for sure coming through, kicking up quite a bit of dust. And here at the Monster Mile, Mile 9, man, you could see the powder just starting to pop up, Mikey. It's just going to get thicker and thicker, and as the sun starts to drop down in the sky, it's going to get more and more difficult to see. And that, I can tell you yesterday, the way the dust was hanging, which is wild because out here in the open, so much wind, down in the woods in these valleys, the air just isn't moving. Once the dust gets there, it just kind of stays and hangs, which you can see here, obviously, from this camera shot.
Get your air filters ready, kids. 3 hours of this. It was interesting yesterday for you guys. I mean, what looked like really sick berms you guys are just able to rail weren't. I mean, they would suck you guys in just falling into a grain bin almost, to use an Indiana term for you here. But nasty stuff, and saw a little bit of that actually this morning in that first amateur race. Some of the guys coming into the finish line try to get up into that berm, they catch that front tire and it just suck them right in and they fall right there. So things are a little deceiving out there on top of the poor vision with all the dust.
It's the poor vision, but it's also, as you mentioned, air filters. Yeah, these guys can change them quick, but a big thing is you see some of the guys kind of riding just inside of the main rut and trying to stay out of what we call the silt, which is the powdery dust. If you can do that, you can save so much. Now there you see he kind of dropped down into that rut. You saw that explosion of dust, all that immediately. Obviously your air filter suctioning. It's a vacuum, it's sucking all the air in around it. So the more silt you're throwing up into the air, especially in these berms, makes it tougher and tougher to, there you go again. You saw that one. And here, inside line, don't see that big explosion of dust into the filter like you do. So some of these guys, they're going to see pit boards all day long, ride insides, stay out of the silt, conserve your filter. And I'm fairly certain that today we are going to see quite a few air filter changes in our GBC Tires pit stop area throughout the day. So stay tuned for that. That is going to shape big. If you remember last year, I believe it was, or it may have been 2 years ago.
I think it was
actually,
2 years ago, and I can't remember the round.
Mason-Dixon, a crazy dusty race where I think of the 12 XC1 riders, only 3 physically finished and crossed the finish line. So when conditions get like this, it really is difficult for these guys to keep the machines going when it's sucking in so much silt through the filter.
We even had things a little different as far as schedule goes here at Ironman this weekend with the amount of riders, but we had our youth bike race yesterday, and I even had some of the kids on the podium talking about, man, toward the end, I don't know what was going on. My bike was running like crap. And I thought, boy, the guys are in for a long one because they do not run 3 hours for youth, obviously. So no doubt the teams, factory teams, privateers, whoever's out, I don't care if you're in a pickup truck, you're prepared for this today because you know that is quite probable. What would you do? I mean, with 3 hours, you're running out front, halfway through, do you just do it precautionary, or do you risk it?
I think that the advantage that the bike guys have here in this 1 p.m. race is that they all know they've been able to see the way the track shaped up throughout the weekend. I can't speak for all of the XC1 guys yesterday in the afternoon race, but I didn't see anyone stop and change the filter. So that right there shows you that although it is silty, although it is dusty, it may not be. So Ricky Russell has come by. There was some dust we saw when we came to the shot here at the 10-mile marker. Now we're at the 989 of Thad Duvall here at the 10-mile marker, still holding a little bit of a gap over the 206 of Josh Toth. So that gap is pretty stable as to what we had seen just a few moments ago. We'll come out to our next shot here from our Yamaha live drone, thanks courtesy of Yamaha Racing. And this is a section, looks like we just had those guys across the road there. Looks like that was Gerard coming by, so we're a little further back in the pack here as we come back to the 10-mile marker, but this is just before that shot we just saw from the drone. We'll be able to follow them quite a bit. That is our visiting rider there. So, yeah, I mean, back to that point, Mikey, at this point, these guys have a lot more data than we did yesterday, obviously, and being the fact that not many of the ATVs had to stop and change, I think these guys are definitely going to have filters ready, but it's really going to be a question of if they spend a bunch of time, a lap or two behind somebody eating their dust, trying to make that pass, yes, they're going to probably either need to stop and change a filter or their bike performance is really going to be hindered by a clogged filter. What that'll typically cause is you might have, when you let off the gas, the bike will stall. It's just not at the proper AFR air-fuel ratio, so it basically throws off your machine the way it's dialed in to run. It's not tuned properly. You'll have a blubbering under acceleration. It just doesn't want to kind of run clean. And the biggest thing, loss of power. You get into the throttle and it's just kind of like, hey man, I thought this was a 350, not a 125. Yeah. So that's kind of where you really feel the difference with the clogged filter. These guys have all been in this position before where they'll kind of know, and if they're able to make it, I think into that third hour, I think at that point, and a lot will have to do with, are you in a battle? If you're in a battle with somebody, you're going to try to go and make it last. If you're not, you've got a minute or two gap in front of you or behind you, or both, you're probably going to want to stop and change that filter if you start to experience those symptoms of the filter clogging up.
Makes total sense. Just a point of note, no Jordan Ashburn, if you've been watching and you were wondering, hey, where's the champ? Actually, it kind of not funny, interesting, I guess. I did a radio interview with him earlier this week to highlight coming here to Ironman, and we didn't rehearse it. I said, we just need 10 minutes of filler. You and I, we can shoot the breeze for 10 minutes. We'll be fine. He said, okay. So, I'm going on about Jordan Ashburn, a man of consistency. He lines up every single race, and that was came to help him in his championship run. So singing his praises, and I said, so what is the mindset after wrapping up the championship as you head out to race this weekend? He goes, well, I'm not racing. I said, what happened? Well, he had a little incident at the last race, suffered a broken hand. It's nothing too major, he said. I think if he had to go, he would, knowing who Jordan Ashburn is. But he said, better safe than sorry. I'm going to sit this one out. I got the championship wrapped up. But he is here in attendance. I said, if you get some time, swing by the booth. So hopefully we can get him in here. But Jordan not racing today, but nonetheless does have that championship wrapped up, so he gets to play spectator.
He does, and he gets to watch these guys, and obviously, he'll be out there, I'm sure, pointing some fellow friends, riders, teammates, lines, and coaching them through. Here we see Ricky Russell on screen, the 212 Coastal Racing Gas rider, and now you're going to kind of get to see a little bit more of just how thick this dust will become, but also, we do have the wind working in our favor here, so as long as you're not right on somebody, but a big gap for Ricky. And we've seen this actually almost every race since we came back from summer break. Ricky's getting good starts, and he's laying down really, really fast paces early in all of these races. And it's been a question of, Stu, Jordan, those guys kind of late being able to up the intensity, close in the gap, and then Ricky just hasn't been able to seal the deal these last couple of races. Obviously getting the win at Snowshoe, getting the win at Mason-Dixon.
That's right,
before Snowshoe, and then finishing up just losing out on that win to Jordan Ashburn at Snowshoe. But right now, a massive gap. I mean, we won't know until we get to the finish line exactly how big that gap is, but that tells you right there.
Wow.
So he's already through the GBC Tires pit stop area. We have to go all the way back to the previous camera shot to get Thad Duvall and Josh Toth. So I'm going to guess we're talking at least 30 seconds, if not more, is the lead that Ricky Russell has amassed already in only 10 miles of racing. And the dust, certainly a factor, but we can see how close these guys are able to ride together. I apologize. I looked away from the camera for a minute. Did we see Stu come through? Okay, he was right behind
Not
Toth.
too far off of Toth. Toth looked like he'd reeled in Thad Duvall just a little bit compared to what we saw earlier as well.
To that point, the fact that they're riding as close together as they are, a couple things to consider there. Again, we talked about that air filter consumption and kind of, trying to stay out of the dust. The other thing, Thad Duvall now on screen, how long? Our producer telling us 55 seconds.
Wow.
So nearly a minute gap for Ricky Russell. Folks, if you're watching at home, we know the dust is a factor. It's not 55 seconds a factor. Right now, Ricky Russell putting down a pace that no one else is able to match. They're going to come through, they're going to get some pit boards, and they're going to go, say what? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did you mean, like, is there supposed to be a decimal point in there? Is it 5.5 seconds? No, folks, it's not. 55 seconds is the lead that Ricky Russell has right now. And he's just making a statement. He's saying, you know what? I feel like I've just let myself down, let my team down. I've robbed myself these last couple races. And I will say, I've spoken with Ricky. He's been hard on himself. He's taking accountability. There's no excuses with the man. He says, hey, look, I've had these. I've made the bad calls. There's been some crashes, some issues. And it looks like today he's really looking to put an exclamation point on this 2022 season and say, hey, might have got a win, but I got two, and the last one's the one that counts because I'm going to run away with this thing. If he can keep this pace up, man, these guys are really going to have to start twisting the throttle to close that gap down.
It's funny, we talk, moto, we talk, get out front, getting that clean air. I was joking about that this morning because there really wasn't any clean air no matter where you were at on the track. But right now, Ricky Russell is the only man out there enjoying that clean air out front. And getting reports now, radio chatter, sounds like it will be a 6-lap race here today, according to what we're hearing on the radio. And let's see what that gap is. Ooh, Adam Gordon, good job, buddy. A 58.439 second gap at the finish line between Thad Duvall in second and Ricky Russell out front in first. And let's see, Josh Toth checks in third, 6 seconds back from Thad Duvall. Stu Baylor in the number 4 spot. Sits 3.5 seconds back from Toth, and Craig DeLong, the 342 Husqvarna, Rockstar Energy Husqvarna, 5 seconds back, rounding out the top 5.
And this may be a glitch with our TV screen here, but to me, that last clip of Ricky Russell looked like he was in fast forward.
Oh, my goodness.
Did you see that? I mean, the pace that he is riding, if that's real and that wasn't a camera glitch, I don't know how he's doing this, but it's like he's got some turbo boosters in that gas 350 because he came out of that corner and it was almost as if he was in fast forward. So Ricky's running. At this point, there's a term you use when you get a whole shot, run and hide.
Run and hide,
If they can't see you, they can't chase you. Yes, they can see the pit boards, but right now there is not a section of track anywhere other than possibly the one big field section where these guys are even going to be able to lay eyes on Ricky Russell. And you can see this battle now for second, third. Here comes fourth, Stu Baylor on the 514 Am Pro Yamaha. Fifth, coming through now, Craig DeLong on the 342 Rockstar Husky, Thad Duvall's teammate. Sixth, Johnny Gerard again on that 969 Coastal Racing Gas. And, now we caught ahead. And this is the shot that we had Ricky Russell in before we started talking about all this. This lead is massive at this point.
Got to highlight that Cowie rider we were seeing. That is Linden.
Okay.
So Linden, on adjusted time, sits in the number 2 spot in the overall. He turned a 28-minute, 56-second lap time. And what was Ricky's? A 28:18. So
listen, here's the thing.
Man.
I don't know much in life, guys, but when I see a rider, I can tell you who it is, and I knew that was Linden. I was trying to question it because we're like, no, there's
no way, right? Yeah.
But the riding style, everything told me that was Linden. So obviously he must have gotten right to the front early, pushed the pace, and much like Ricky Russell trying to run and hide, his issue at this point is now he's run into, not even the back. He's run into the middle of the XC1 class, and he's having to ride in that dust. No more clean air, but nothing but clean air for this guy right here, Ricky Russell. We're being told a 6-lap race. I'm going to make an estimate and say he's going to have clean air for 2 full laps. We're going to see him. I mean, he may hit a few straggling lappers, but they likely, if he's lapping them on lap 2, they've had some issues. They're probably going to be traveling at a pretty low pace, and I don't think he's going to have to contend with really passing those guys, and they're not going to be making much dust. So I think the lead that he can build this next lap, if he can keep it the same or stretch it out more, he may have built a bridge too far to cross.
Yeah, a bridge too far. I like that. Welcome back to the booth, Rodney Tomlin. He is in full retirement mode as well. He's got, are those capri pants you're wearing there, Rodney? I mean, what we got going
Can
on
we,
here?
we never get this camera shot in here.
No,
But
we don't want it right now.
We
no.
may need to get this because I don't know. Rodney's got some slides on. Looks like he just came from the beach. He's ready for that retirement.
Man, I screwed that opening ceremonies up so bad they told me don't even come back.
Don't even come back. Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't know that we changed the intro music, and for some reason that music
threw off your rhythm.
Threw off my entire rhythm, but it kind of cracked me up. I'm not going to laugh. I'm not going to lie. I was a little discombobulated. Teenage Wasteland, Bab O'Reilly really choked me up for some reason. I couldn't recover from that.
Big Pete Townsend fan.
Yeah, absolutely love it. But no, what a great race. Ricky Russell, man, starting off like wildfire into that first turn. I mean, he had what seemed like, realistically not, but it seemed like 15 bike lengths going into that first turn. And it was a lot tighter than that, obviously, but Thad Duvall was right there behind him. You saw Stu Baylor starting out in that number 3 spot. I'm not sure what's happened since then, but I'll tell you, started out like a ball of fire, as I heard you guys say, 58 seconds ahead of Josh Toth, your second-place rider, or excuse me, Thad Duvall, your second-place rider at the end of that first lap. Interestingly, Lyndon Snodgrass, I heard you guys talking about him, second place overall after time adjustments right now. I think if you do the math right now, it's probably 20, 30
Look
seconds.
at that. Steps up all the way over the top of the far right line on Ironman Hill. Just sits into it, preloads the suspension, and how's it going, Mikey? Boom.
Bang.
Bang. Oh,
Bang.
I got it wrong. See, that's why I can't use your
Well, it's
taglines.
trademarked. It's trademarked.
Got it.
Ricky Russell, to your point, Johnny, is riding like a man who feels like some winds got away from him this year.
Absolutely.
I mean,
and the irony of it is, though, he's using the same moves that he used in those races. We've seen him build not 58 seconds in one lap. We have seen him with leads up near a minute, or I don't think it's been over a minute, but in that 45 seconds to a minute range. And we've seen Stu or Jordan Ashburn be able to kind of reel him in there late in the races. We saw it at the Mountaineer when we first came back from break. It's happened a number of times thus far, but I don't know, man. Today something just seems different. He really looks like he's on rails out there. Obviously a lot of racing left. We're not just going to go ahead and give him the overall trophy just yet. He does need to finish this one out, but you can see Thad Duvall coming a wide line there, stepping off that rock ledge, and he is also likely, right up. Oh, caught the rear a little bit, but Ricky made it clean. Thad, and there we see Josh Toth. Little style, little whip for the crowd.
I love it.
Hey, this is Ironman MX. Throw him a little whip. Looks like, to me, unless Stu took another line, he did not, question mark?
Yeah.
Stu must have taken the line to the left because he did not go up the hill. That was, I believe, Johnny Gerard that just went up there. We'll have to wait and see. Stu may have taken that. There's about 4 lines up Ironman Hill there, so we'll get him again here. We're at the 3. We did have a camera shot at the 4, I believe, last lap, so we'll see if we get that shot again here in just about a mile and see if we can see if Stu is, in fact, still running there in that 4th place spot where we saw him last. There is Liam Draper. So, yeah, a bunch of guys must have gone to the left there. Snodgrass, so they must have split, gone opposite directions up the hill there.
Got to hand it to Liam Draper as well. We're talking about Lyndon Snodgrass being in the 2 spot on adjusted time. Liam Draper sitting there in the top 5 on adjusted time out of that XC2 250 Pro-Am class. So he is scooting. Who is our 3rd place? Is it Jonathan Johnson? XC2? I think so.
Yep.
So Jonathan Johnson sitting rounding out that top 3, and he is 8th in the overall.
Well, right now as we check into this one, just a little over a half hour, 36 minutes into this 3-hour race as we wrap up the 2022 GNCC season. Ricky Russell leading Thad Duvall and Josh Toth physically on the racetrack. Right now, though, Lyndon Snodgrass is running in the 2nd place position overall on time adjustments. Liam Draper, 2nd in that XC2 250 Pro class, is 5th overall. The question is, can Ricky Russell continue this pace and this total domination? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues from the Ironman after this.
Last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won a championship, and it was also my first year using ARMA. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. You know, like especially in the summertime in Florida where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees and you're doing 230s and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have a good race here or a good day during the week there, but overall I think where I improved the most was my consistency in my recovery.
Canati Tires, a division of Greenball Corp, has been in the tire business for over 44 years. We're passionate about developing quality tires that perform great and bring extraordinary value to our customers. Whether you're looking for a tire that can handle your off-road adventures, need a reliable tire to take you from job site to job site, or simply want a tire with a beefier look that won't break the bank, then check out Canati Tires.
USMCA has been connecting riders to certified coaches since 2016. There are over 300 active certified coaches on motorcyclecoaching.org, and we recently launched our new mobile app, making it easy to connect with a coach and book your next training session. So here's what you do. Download the Motorcycle Coaching app, then search for coaches and upcoming classes. Once a training session is booked, riders have the option to pay for their class and even get a calendar reminder that will automatically sync to their phone. Get connected today.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. With over 40 years of experience in motorcycle sales and service, we know racing. Our inventory of Yamaha motorcycles, sport bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides is extensive and constantly changing. Stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
OnTrackSchool.com. Check it out.
Brown's RV Superstore is family owned and operated and stake their reputation on offering you the finest RVs available in their McBee, South Carolina RV dealership. Brown's RV Superstore carries motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, and toy haulers, and keep a huge inventory of new and used RVs in stock for you to choose from. They offer top dollar for your RV trade-in and help you get the RV financing you need. As a part of the GNCC family, Brown's Brown's RV Superstore, in partnership with Vengeance Toy Haulers, offers sponsorship packages for every level of racer with discounts and continued savings on your new toy hauler. Brown's RV Superstore has dedicated themselves to complete customer satisfaction, specializing in providing a positive start to your RV adventure. They look forward to customers coming back to share their tales from the road. Call Brown's RV Superstore today at 877-805-3658 or visit their website at brownsrvsuperstore.com, where family fun begins.
And welcome back to GNCC Live on Racer TV.
What a team.
What a team. As, yes, final round of 2022, the 13th of one of the craziest seasons, I think. You know, we had one of the most epic championships battles. Literally came down to a tie yesterday in points when it was all said and done, with Bryce Neal taking the win and stopping the bid for the 8th championship for Walker Fowler. And what we've seen and witnessed since round one here on the two-wheel side of things, with so many victims falling prey to injury in that first round of racing at Big Buck, not only in the XC1, but even some in the XC2 Pro class as well. Jonathan Gerard being one of those. Of course, Stu Baylor was one, and Thad Duvall, I think, might have been one of those guys that went out in that first round, and it just seemed like it snowballed there on and off throughout the season. Most riders have been out a round or two at some point this season, and even with the total domination that we saw early on with Ben Kelly defending that #1 plate. You know, we'd ran through 6 rounds of racing, or we're heading into our 6th round of racing, basically wondering is he going to win all of them? You know, that was a question that was posed. And then just before round 7, I believe it was a Sprint Enduro or National Enduro, he breaks his leg, and this turns out to be a much worse incident than what many had realized, thinking that he would be back just before the summer break or after the break to defend that #1 plate, and not able to be here. And then, of course, it left a great opportunity for one of the riders that basically has ridden mistake-free and injury-free all season long and consistently until the last round, which is the one, ironically, that he wrapped up the championship in, Jordan Ashburn. And what a storied season, there's no doubt about it. And no matter what angle you look at it, Johnny, there is a lot of interesting factors, but this has been a great GNCC championship.
Yeah, it's been a wild year, and, you know, to have Jordan Ashburn, and we've hashed this out so many different ways, to have him come out, perform the way that he has all year in a season of uncertainty. The certainty of anything was Jordan Ashburn is going to be out there, he's going to be on the podium, he's going to get those points, and he just kept putting himself in good positions all season long. Obviously, again, seems a bit awkward to be talking about that, Mikey. You alluded this earlier. You know, we're talking about Mr. Consistency, never misses a race. We had the statistics up, the race that he won the championship, of just how many races he'd gone without missing a race, or how few he'd raced, how few he had missed, and then here today not lining up with us. Jordan is out there pedaling around on a bicycle. I saw him. There's no cast on that hand. Right. You know, so I think it's important to note, you know, that at least at this time, does not appear to be an injury that's going to affect what will be the defending champion going into round 1 next year. A lot of question marks still, and who's going to be back, what are they going to be riding, who's going to be healthy, a lot of time between now and then. But the reality of it is, your 2022 champion, Jordan Ashburn, not out there today, but like you said, Rodney, a phenomenal season for him, just Mr. Consistency all year long, tick the boxes, and then it was almost starting to become this question of, is he going to go out and win a championship without winning a race? Well, he answered that question at Snowshoe. Then came back and again kind of put an emphasis on it at the Burrow, and, you know, won there again. And it was just like, hey, not only am I going to win this championship, but I'm going to get my first 2 wins on the way to doing so.
And what we saw there was a birth of a whole different style of Jordan Ashburn, too, whenever we saw that win there in Ohio. And then he backed that up, even though it was second place, not even know until now that he had broken his hand during that race, and the way that he pushed and as aggressively as he rode during that race, it was a good indication as to what kind of rider he likely will be when the 2023 season comes and he is ready to defend that #1 plate.
Leader, the 212 of Ricky Russell on screen. Look at that, taking that far inside line to stay out of that sill perm. We'll get the clock going, see what the gap is here, but we know it was 58 seconds when they checked in at scoring at the completion of lap #1. And so far, it does not look like it's come down much, if any at all. No signs of anyone coming down that ridge there. And, man, Ricky Russell on rails at the moment. And he looks like he's really going fast, but if you really watch, I noticed that shot we had kind of just after the start of the lap, after you cross the first creek, come off the moto track. He's running a way different line. And I don't know, in some of the shots, there's not a lot of options. But that particular shot, you know, I mean, it looks like Ricky did his homework this weekend. He must have spent the time out there, you know, checking out lines, figuring out the way the track was going to shape up. We got some dust coming. Those aren't racers. Those are just people walking through the woods, and it's kicking up that much dust. Now, we've got our second place rider, and it is possibly a lapped rider.
I was going to say, I don't know that was one of our pro guys. No offense to that rider, but just wasn't carrying himself like a Thad Duvall.
And here's the thing to point out: if Ricky is riding at the same pace as he was on lap #1, and the other riders are as well, a 58-second gap at the end of the first lap could translate into nearly 2 minutes of a gap at the end of lap 2. And the way we're looking at it right now,
it's definitely at least the 58 seconds. I haven't had a clock on it, but man, sakes alive. New second place rider Josh Toth has worked his way around the 989 of Thad Duvall. Now, Stu Baylor, it looks like he is up into third there, and there is Thad Duvall. No, that's Craig, I believe. Hard to tell. Same gear, same bike, but it looked like Craig there. There is Johnny Gerard. So maybe we missed Thad Duvall when we backed up. He could have been on top of the hill there. There's Lyndon Snodgrass, the 178. That is your XC2 leader, and as we know, was in second place on corrected time. And judging by where he's at there, I think he will still be in that window. He can see those guys in front of him. Don't know if we missed Thad Duvall there. We'll have to check with our producer, see if they got a sight on that or not, or we can keep watching and we'll get him at the next camera shot here. But we did not see Thad Duvall come through there. Liam Draper, so that's your second place rider in XC2. Got an earful from his fiance in a good way. You and I talked about the fact that Liam was getting married so he could get his green card, obviously joking. And she took the joke very well. She said, she told someone, as we were saying it, her words were, "Where are they broadcasting from? I'm going over there." Yeah. But no, they seem very happy. Got to chat with them both last night. Some exciting things going on for Liam, and obviously very happy for them. You know, and it's pretty cool to see how coming over here to race dirt bikes can alter the course of your life. Now he's going to be a full-blown American. Pretty soon you'll probably get a mullet, maybe get him you know, I don't know if he already drinks Busch Light.
I was going to say, got to start.
If he sticks around here long, he's definitely going to start.
Yeah, Liam, we love it. Hey, we'll adopt you here in America. We love you, dude. Things clicking for him.
By the way, I heard you guys talking about the young knight that is here with us, of course, from the Isle of Man. And I don't know if you heard me make mention of that, but that is actually David Knight's nephew.
Oh, really?
And I believe that in talking with his team, Motorary, they are talking about being involved a lot next season, so we'll probably be seeing them a lot in the 2023 season. I know today not a lot going on over in the Kawasaki pits with, well, obviously there is. I mean,
Lyndon,
but they also had that extra room in there, so they are allowing him to actually pit out of that area there this weekend. So that's pretty cool. Welcome to them to GNCC Racing for sure. And I know that in talking with some folks, they said that Mr. Knight is certainly proud of his ties to the Isle of Man, and of course the Isle of Man TT and all that.
Ricky Russell through at the 12-mile marker just across the fence from the pro pits there. While we have a minute or two here until our second place rider comes through, I was actually looking, I'm sure we know this, but I just wanted to confirm. Ben Kelly still sitting up 10-mile marker. There's Ricky on screen coming through the Yamaha forest there. And we see some XC2 and XC3 riders coming through here at the 9-mile marker. Ben Kelly still sitting third overall, despite having only raced the first 6 races. Ricky Russell, the only rider that can actually bump him back to 4th.
I did not even think about that.
Ricky Russell, 151. Ben Kelly, 180. So 29 points is what he needs. Second place won't get it done. Ricky Russell wins today. He takes 3rd place in the championship, bumps Ben Kelly back to 4th. And Ricky Russell, I can tell you right now, all these guys, most of these guys, save for maybe Caleb Russell when he was racing, have 2nd and 3rd place championship bonuses. So Ricky Russell, a little extra added motivation today. Obviously wants to win, but there is probably some financial.
Yeah, go get a little coin there,
yeah,
man.
Exactly. Some financial incentive for him to really, try to take that 3rd place on the season. But man, again, so many things have played out this year. But even going back, way back to May, June, whenever that would have been, May probably, Ben Kelly getting hurt. How dominant at the end of the season. You didn't even make it half the season.
Nuts.
And ultimately, you were in the points lead until 2 weeks ago. And now, finally, you've dropped back to 3rd and could maybe by 1 point go back to 4th. I mean, the man was just on a complete another level through the first 6 rounds. And we'll be excited to hopefully see him back fully healthy, ready to go for 2023. So, Ben, if you're watching at home, man, what a first 6 races. And Jordan, you're watching out in the woods. Way to capitalize on opportunity. And we're excited to see these two, along with Stu Baylor and the rest, go toe-to-toe next year.
It's going to be interesting to see how, as our sport has evolved and the importance of making sure you're lining up every race. You can't ride over your head. Not saying that these guys do, but the speeds they carry through the woods, hey, it's dangerous and things happen. And Jordan has done such a good job at eluding injury. It'll be interesting to see if any of the guys that have had the issues with injury kind of change their strategy a little bit to try and avoid some of those injuries. Some we know obviously are not avoidable. Freak things happen, but I don't know. He kind of rewrote the recipe for a championship this season.
Absolutely. It's, speaking of the devil, here he comes. He's walking the back of our Racer TV studios. Must have heard us talking about him. So Jordan Ashburn coming in, going to give us his perspective on things. But, yeah, I mean, that's one of the things we've talked about. And as Jordan comes in, we'll kind of reiterate, the point system for the year is laid out before the year. The number of races are there. And you know that if you want to score maximum points for the season, you absolutely have to line up for enough races to outscore all your opponents. So it's managing your expectations versus managing your effort level to know what it takes to get yourself to the end of the season. Jordan, 12 races out of 13, not too bad. And obviously, and Mikey may have already asked you this question, you may have answered it, but judging by the way you're kind of hopping around the pitch, you look pretty bright and spry. If you needed to be out there today, you'd be on a dirt bike getting business done, right?
Yeah, definitely. We could have been out there if we really wanted to, but at this point in the year, it's we already got the championship. There's no point in it. So, yeah, we're happy to be out here. I don't think I've ever spectated a race, so this has been interesting.
and to just kind of recap a little bit, if I'm not mistaken, that injury actually happened very early on in the race 2 weeks ago in West Virginia, correct?
Yeah. So actually, first corner. We kind of got in with somebody right there tied in the first corner, and I kind of thought something was wrong, and then adrenaline takes over, and you just keep racing through it.
So a broken hand in turn 1, second place finish.
Yeah.
How much of that was grit, and how much of it was truly, in your opinion, was it really that painful, or was it kind of something you were just able to block out? I know you made mention of it immediately when the race was over.
Yep.
In terms of that it was a little bit painful, and you're like, yeah, I think I broke my hand. And I'll be honest, in the booth we kind of chuckled yeah, I probably banged it up a little bit, and then we get the word oh no, it's broken. So did you really feel like it was something you were thinking about throughout the race, or were you able to kind of block it out?
I definitely thought about it early on, but like you say, I got into the lead the first lap, and then it's gone. You block that out, and it was definitely, I could ride through it, so I didn't think a lot about it till after the event. And yeah, it could have been worse. I mean, if we would have clipped something else during the day, it would have been really bad, but we're in pretty good shape.
So as we have you here now, 4 weeks removed from wrapping up your first XC1 title, obviously sitting here as the 2022 GNCC overall champion, has that all set in yet? And how does that change your mindset day to day, and also looking forward in your career?
Yeah, it's definitely changed my mind this year. We're confident in the bike and the team and everything we've done, and we know what we can do. So, we just keep on going from there. And battle again for it next year.
I noticed, and I may mention if you watch back, or you might have heard people say that, we noticed a different posture on the bike, a more aggressive posture. Is that something that you're doing intentionally? Or is that something that's just maybe coming from the confidence of the rides that you've been having?
I think it's kind of something, there's times when you really got to push it and you got to be in the front, and that's probably what you're seeing.
And you look comfortable doing it too.
Yeah, we're definitely comfortable, and like I say, building off of last year, going into this year, we knew we had a bike that could win, and I just had to put myself in that position.
And amazingly, doing it against these big factory teams, not that you guys don't have the factory support, but the Magna One Motorsports team, definitely a little different level as far as that is concerned, but you guys do it and pull off the championship, and of course not only one under that tent, but you got a couple more. You've got the ATV championship, a co-championship with basically with Bryce and Neil. I mean, that's got to be just monumental for you guys. I mean, under that tent in that team right now.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't be any happier, and it's just been a huge undertaking for Chris and the whole team to do what we've done. I mean, it's never been done. I mean, to even talk about it it's pretty incredible.
Ricky Russell still continuing to just really charge it out, stretch this lead out. We'll see what the gap is when they come. Looks like these guys bypassing a pit on lap number 2. We have been told, race officials saying it will be a 3-lap race, and I would like to confirm from that last camera shot, no Thad Duvall. We have not seen him come by.
I was out on the track. I did see Thad's bike sputtering a bit. So I got to see a little racing there before I came in here, and man, it's pretty brutal out there.
And that comes back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier in the show with that air filter preservation, trying to manage, your pace, how close you are behind the guys in front of you. But the reality of it was Thad Duvall was sitting in second with clean air. And, the guys behind him, you would think, because they were all kind of close together, it was Thad in second. Third place at the time was Josh Toth. And then you had Stu Baylor sitting in fourth and Craig DeLong in fifth. Those guys have gotten up and, all made it through and are still battling with each other, not apparently having any filter issues. And obviously Craig DeLong on the very same bike, very same filter prep as what that is. So interesting if we can get some, updates at some point from that Rockstar Husqvarna team of exactly what happened with Thad Duvall. But what we do know is happening right now is Ricky Russell is running. Jordan, if we get your perspective as a racer, obviously we know Ricky at this point running high. That's his goal. At what point...
Rick's in a good position, man. Like, if I was racing, that's exactly where I want to be. Of course, everybody wants to be in the front, but he can kind of manage the race because, I mean, as guys can close in, yeah.
We got our second, third, and fourth place riders checked in fifth now, Johnny Gerard as well.
1 minute 34 seconds between first and second place position, 6 between second and third. It runs like this: Ricky Russell out front, Stu Baylor in second, Josh Toth in third, Craig DeLong is fourth, Jonathan Gerard in the number 5 position. And we'll be seeing Lyndon Snodgrass check in here in just a moment. We'll see how he is doing in the overall. As he checks in, it is now still second place overall position for him. And he too is a minute. And so if we look at it, actually he is 16 seconds ahead of Stu Baylor right now on time adjustments. If we look at lap times themselves, Baylor turned a 30 minute and 1 second lap time that last time around. Lyndon Snodgrass a 30:15. So Baylor has gapped a lot of that time, so we could be seeing him move back into the adjusted time as well as physical second place position for Baylor if he keeps at this pace right now.
So, Jordan, question for you. You're seeing, obviously, you said that was the position you'd want to be in. If you're obviously Ricky Russell, you've got clean air, you're pushing the pace, you're controlling the race from the front. Put yourself in this guy right here, Stu Baylor. We know he's a charger. We know he's strong late. How worried are you if you're Stu Baylor and you're looking at pit boards that are saying you're 134 down after 2 laps of racing?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to... as he comes up, the closer he would get to Ricky, which right now he's in pretty clean air. So, I mean, he can push really hard and he can make up some time. But as he gets up there closer, I'm sure that's what he knows, like, to try to get a pass would be extremely difficult.
Well, he's got to make up that minute and 34-second gap first, and that is a big, big gap for sure. But, yeah, I mean, obviously, like you said, once he gets close, he's going to be eating that that dust, and again, put himself in a position where that air filter could come into question. You know,
I don't know with Ricky, you know, if they're going to have to change filters or not, but I don't expect Stu to change filters on the Yamaha, so that could come into play, you know, if they're planning a pit stop for Ricky, if it cost them 40 seconds, 30 to 40 seconds. I don't know exactly how quick they can do it on the gas, but it'd be interesting.
So we talked a little bit about air filter management and whether or not these guys are going to be stopping. We also pointed out, you see them running a lot of insides. They're staying out of those silt berms. Two reasons for that, obviously, one of which, when the silt berms get that deep and thick, they actually do rob so much horsepower, it's hard to get drive coming out of them. And then the second, obviously, when you're berm busting, as they call it, you're exploding those berms, you're throwing up a lot more dust and silt into the air, which is ultimately getting sucked into your air filter. So from your position, obviously in past races like this, we know we had Mason Dixon 2 years ago. We've had other really dusty races. Many times we've seen it in Florida. How do you, when you get those pit boards, how do you manage to address that? Like when they're telling you to save the filter, is that something you just have to be conscious of, or?
Yeah, as a racer, you just got to be aware of, like, you've got to stay out of the powdery areas. Like, even like in the fields, it's easy, you know. So as you go into the woods, like, everything is powder everywhere. So you can only do so much at some point. Like, and if you're close in a battle with other guys, it's tough. I mean, you're fighting to see and you're fighting to try to save your bike.
Jessica Livingood, you need to report to the front gate once again. Jessica Livingood, if you know the whereabouts of her, she needs to get to the front gate.
Ricky Russell on screen, jumping off that big flat rock, little splash. Welcome moisture. He's going to drag some of it up onto the hill, try and step up over the top, and he makes it clean again. Pretty cool little section there. The way you guys are kind of able to step up over that, Jordan. I don't think we saw any ATV guys make it up over the top of that as far as stepping up it yesterday. It's a little bit harder to get the drive there. Power to weight ratio is a little bit different, but definitely pretty cool. And now we're back out to the field section. Looks like we have Rui Barbosa, one of our XC2 riders there on the number 14 Phoenix Racing Honda. Sweet shot here from the Yamaha live drone, courtesy of Yamaha Racing. And Rui taking a look over his shoulder to see if there's anybody behind him, and no dust in front of him, so he's got clean air, going to try and make up some time.
Well, three third-place positions where we've got him listed.
Oh, he's got second. He's gotten by Liam.
Yeah.
There we go.
I was getting ready to say he was only 2 seconds behind Liam Draper, so he may have gotten by him now.
Yeah, now he's got some clean air, so maybe he can push the pace a bit.
Yeah, make a run, try to catch up to Linden. They're not that far back. What was the gap between Linden and
35.5 seconds.
Yeah, so 35. So still closer than our battle up front in that XC1 class, but still looks like looks like Ryder
here's
Lafferty
something to point out. Rui Barbosa turned a 30-minute and 10-second lap time. Liam Draper a 30:22. Lyndon Snodgrass a 30:15. So with that being said, now, I mean, could Rui have turned it a little bit faster, or we're going to see it turn on here in this next lap? Now he's got that free track.
I talked to Roy on the track, and he was pretty excited about the race because he's used to these dry conditions.
I was literally just going to say, we always talk about where riders are from, how it plays in, and Ricky Russell from the Seattle around Seattle, Washington. When it gets wet, when it gets slippery, Ricky's going to shine. I've been to Chile, where Rui Barbosa's from. It's just like this. It's silt and dust everywhere. Terrible dirt, no traction. So I bet he was happy, and right now riding very well. We did see Stu Baylor using a different line up there, up Ironman Hill. We didn't actually get to see him last lap, but you see when he jumps off the rock, he kind of goes to the right of screen as it is right now. The other guy's going left of screen and up, stepping up over the top. So apparently he's favoring that line, feeling it's faster, trying to make up a little time. And there's a lot of intensity and a lot of aggression when Stu came through that shot there. He's obviously worked his way.
He's pushing really hard.
One point was back and forth, up to second now. And I'm assuming he's gotten the message that Ricky Russell's opening up a gap, and he doesn't want to let him go. Here's Rui Barbosa, so that is your second place rider in that XC2 class. Lyndon Snodgrass has already come through. Rui rider that's seen a lot of success in his short time here in the States and just seems to be getting stronger and more comfortable. Got a great team in that Phoenix Honda Racing team. There's Liam Draper again on the 198. Teely Energy Racing KTM. And that is your second and third place riders in that XC2 class.
Yeah, I know his mom and dad are here from Chile as well. I saw and talked with them in the Phoenix pits earlier today, so he's got a little extra inspiration to ride with as well. And obviously, like you said, the experience, so we'll see if he can track down your leader, Lyndon Snodgrass, in that XC2250 Pro class. Right now, though, as we look up front, Ricky Russell in total control as we roll through this final round of the 2022 GNCC season. However, Stu Baylor head down charging a little quicker on the lap times. Is he going to be able to eclipse that 1 minute and 34 seconds? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues after this.
We all have our reasons to accomplish, to work hard. We share a common goal, to be the best. Keep fighting, put in the work, never take the easy way. Your drive and determination fuels our passion.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond, because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
Ben Kelly here, 2021 GNCC champion. Subscribe to Racer X and get yourself a fresh FMF t-shirt.
This week in Yamaha history takes us back to the 2005 Ironman GNCC. The pink race was born that year, and Johnny Gallagher donned a pink tutu to celebrate. It was lots of fun and laughs before the seriousness got underway. It was the age of Yamaha's Bill Balance and his 9 straight championships. GNCC greats and production ATV pioneers like Matt Smiley, Brian Cook, Brian Baker, Chris Jinks, Santo DeRisi, and Chad Duvall were just a few of the day's top stars. As the race began, all could tell it was going to be a long and challenging race. Conditions for the 10-year celebration of the event started out with what many may consider near perfect. As the race wore on and the riders worked the lines, it was obvious that things were soft and muddy and only got softer. Bill Balance had taken the lead on lap 1 and appeared to be looking for his 6th win of the season. Visiting AMA Pro ATV Motocross champion John Natale trailed by only 3 seconds, followed by Chris Borch and William Yoakley in 4th. By the end of lap 2, Yoakley had moved into the lead with Balance back in 3rd and Natale hot on the heels of Yoakley. By the end of lap 3 of 5, the Yamaha-mounted Bill Balance had latched on to Yoakley, riding no further than 2 seconds behind until the last lap, where he lost time trying to make a pass on Yoakley for the win in the closing moments. William Yoakley captured the checkers and the victory on that day, etching his name in the GNCC history pages forever. And that's this week in Yamaha history.
And row number 1, the SC1 Pro will be off and rolling at the Parks Unlimited Mason-Dixon GNCC.
Thanks, Jason. And unfortunately, it's literally breaking news. With me right now is 5-time GNCC and current reigning GNCC champion Rodney Smith. Tell us what happened.
And I can talk as much as I want here and say almost anything I want as long as Carrie Joe's not listening. Wow, thank you. Don't know what to say after that.
That was awesome right there.
It's definitely been a journey, Rodney, and we're so proud and so happy to have had you along the way. Obviously looking forward to whatever's coming next for you, but the voice of GNCC always has been in Mr. 10 Seconds. We're definitely going to miss you, buddy.
Well, I'm going to be missing being here, that's for sure. But obviously, like I've told everybody, I feel like right now I'm being led in a certain direction, and that's the direction that I'm headed. But it has been a fabulous 20-plus years of GNCC racing. There's no doubt about it.
Well, I'm honored to be here right beside you right now.
I'm honored to have you here beside me right now. and the ironic thing about it is, we were doing the math. I was talking with Doug Whitmer, Sean Remington, Barry Hawk, and those guys this morning, and we finally confirmed it was 1996, the year that I did begin announcing GNCCs. My first ever GNCCs that I announced was Starvation Point in 1996. And so I guess you and I kind of share a little bit. Isn't that the year that you began your pro racing career, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah. So I think it's kind of neat that we get to, I began there. Now, I hadn't been there as many times as you, obviously, in that period of time. But yeah, Johnny, it's pretty cool. And looks like we got the breaking news that we've been looking for here today, wondering what happened to Thad Duvall. Mikey Waynes has got him in the pits now.
Had a good ride going, running up. Had some bike issues out there, man.
Yeah, just not sure what's going on. I don't know if something's shorting out or what. The bike runs good for like 5 minutes and then it shuts off for 30 seconds and it won't start and we have to bump it. And just I got tired of asking people to help me bump it, so just decided to come in and yeah, it sucks. The track's on, brutal. Yeah, I was good in second, just kind of riding my in the first lap. I saw Stu land on it, so I beat Stu with something today. So, but no, it was good. Yeah, just nobody's fault. Freak thing with the bike. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen to me. I'm used to it. But no, 2023.
Hey, training starts now.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited. Just yeah, fresh start next year. Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it. We'll leave it at that, brother. Congratulations. Thad Duvall, I think some big things coming from that man in the next couple of years, so stay tuned for more from Thad.
All right, there he goes, getting the ripping from Mom and his whatnot. But no, a tough break for Thad this year. But you know, kind of a reset. You know, it's kind of some reset stuff. Ricky Russell coming through. Looks like he just worked his way through some lap traffic. There are some
a lot of dust right there.
Yeah, a lot of it. You know, one thing, I know you can't really tell down here, it might be helping out a little bit, but out in these open field sections especially, there's a good stiff breeze that is blowing right now, so it is kind of helping evaporate some of that dust, so to speak.
Yeah, it's helping move the dust, and it was interesting to hear Thad's perspective on exactly what was going on with this machine. You know, Jordan, you had pointed out, you know, it was breaking up, didn't sound like it was running right. The quick conclusion, obviously, to jump to is, oh, it's dusty air filter.
Yeah.
But, you know, as we talked about it, just something wasn't necessarily adding up there with the fact that he was in second in clean air. A big gap back from Ricky, meaning he wasn't riding in Ricky's dust. And the guys behind him on similar or the same equipment not having filter issues. So it sounds like...
Yeah, and they're all still going.
Yeah, it sounds like something else going on there with Thad's machine. Unfortunate for him. Obviously, we hate to see a very often, you know, upfront, competitive, and obviously always a fan favorite, Thad Duvall. Going to watch the rest of this one from the sidelines, and I'm sure much like yourself, Jordan, you know, as much as you can say, oh, you know, I'm here watching the race, it really truly is, as Stu Baylor coming through on screen there on the 514 Ampro Yamaha. You're sizing these guys up. You're kind of watching things, you know, getting little tips and tricks, getting ready to go for 2023, right?
Oh yeah, we're trying to get things together, and yeah, I don't ever get to see everybody else race, so it's kind of cool to see it all happen and unfold right here in front of me.
So as our third place rider, Josh Toth, comes through on screen here, I'm going to put you on the spot, Jordan. I've heard from different guys, both on the ATV and bike side. Do you ever go home and rewatch these races?
No, usually not. Sometimes I'll catch some highlights.
So in the equivalent of, you know, the football world, you're not a film guy.
No.
You're not studying tape. You're not, you know, looking at how these guys are running their game plan for the race. You're living in the moment. You're racing them.
I kind of just focus on what I need to focus on, and I know what I've got to do to win races and be on the podium, and, you know, that's what I do.
Well, that's a definitely interesting perspective, and doing what you do has led you to a championship. So obviously at this point, nobody's doing it better.
Yeah, so yeah, it's different. So I mean, there's a few races this year I went back and watched, but for the most part, yeah, we just kind of roll on to the next round. And if I made some mistakes myself and planning the race and race management, I try to tweak those myself and fix them for the next race.
I believe that there it is. That's Roy Barbosa's parents cheering him on as he goes by there on the Phoenix Racing Honda. So
still pressure behind from Liam Draper, though, not able to close that or open that gap up, rather.
So like you said, it is kind of, that dust does kind of hang down in that valley just a little bit, but you can see that there is some wind down there too. So it's not as bad as it actually could be, all things considered right now.
Yeah, 9 miles into this third lap of racing, meaning what we should see when they come through. A couple things. Pit stops. We know we're doing a 6-lap race. We haven't seen any of our top riders into pit for fuel just yet, so we're expecting to see all of that go down here in about 4 miles. There we see, looks like Ryder Lafferty, that's our 4th place rider in XC2. Another thing we're going to keep an eye open. Are we just getting fuel? Obviously, probably going to get some fresh goggles today. Drinking, very important. You know, you're going to see a lot of these guys take hydration bottles. Will we see air filter changes? That's a big question. Another thing that's going to be unfolding here is pit strategy for those guys 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. You know, if you're able to come in and just take a splash of gas, you may be able to make a pass for somebody who is potentially changing an air filter, even getting goggles. Those couple extra seconds can really loom large when you're as close together as our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place riders are running currently.
Given the conditions, Johnny, would you stop and change filters if you were leading the race?
If I'm leading the race and I'm Ricky, I'm going for it. I mean, even though I have a minute and a half lead, has more than enough time to change a filter at this point. I think his lead is his biggest advantage. not from the sense of that he's safe because he has a minute 34, and if he can keep that the same and stabilize it, that is a major mental hurdle for even someone as strong as Stu Baylor. When I say strong, mentally strong, Stu Baylor never accepts defeat. You know, he's what he used to call heart was the old nickname back in the day. I mean, the guy just fights and fights and fights. But when you're fighting that hard and you're pushing that hard and you're giving it your everything, and you see those numbers on the pit board not coming down. So for me, it's more of a psychological thing of, I don't want to give him that even 15, 20 seconds that it's going to take me to change a filter, because he suddenly sees that as blood in the water. So, and we pretty well know Stu most likely on that Yamaha, with where the filter is mounted and the way that it all works, probably not stopping for an air filter today.
Yeah, and you know, if those two won't stop, nobody else is going to want to stop either. They're all going to want to keep racing and try to get those positions.
Yep. I think the only rider that potentially right now, like Johnny Gerard, is kind of sitting on the back end of that lead pack of the XC1 class, sitting in 5th place, I believe it was, physically in the XC1 class. You know, for him, if he's been in dust the whole entire time, for him to spend that extra 15, 20 seconds and potentially have, if he's having any issues with the bike starting to load up, not run clean, he would be kind of the guy that I think might pull the trigger. But ultimately, as you know, especially on some of these teams, it's really not up to the rider. The crew chief, the mechanic, you know, the team manager, they're going to make those decisions. They know, they've kind of run the data, they know the math, they know if they're likely to be able to make it without a filter change, or if they want to, you know, play it safe and really try to get a clean filter in that machine. So it sometimes it's up to the rider, but especially if you're stopping for fuel, when you stop and that can goes in, suddenly you feel your side panel come off under your left leg, like, oh, I guess I'm getting a filter.
Better get out of the way.
You can yell no all you want, but they're putting a filter in there. So we're watching here at the finish line. We should see him again out in that open section before, from that Yamaha Racing live drone footage before they get here to the finish, but we'll wait and we'll watch. It is possible, as windy as it is, may not be able to get the drone up. It's we were just talking about that, the gusts outside the studio. Absolutely, here in Indiana, where it's pretty flat, not much to stop the wind, at least when you're up on top. We know we have Ironman Hill, and down in the valleys there's plenty of elevation change down there, but up here in the cornfields, and I guess bean fields actually, I think is what we're parked in, the wind just gets whipping and nothing really slows it down.
Just never stops.
Interesting, you know, I know we talked a lot about it yesterday, but I don't know that we've talked a lot about it today. The weather conditions, especially a far cry different from what it was 1 year ago. If we remember, we were in a quagmire beginning to wonder if we were even going to race. Remember, the creeks were rising so fast, they had to reroute the course, and it kind of strikes me funny as to we were in that condition a year ago, and here we are in these conditions. I mean, complete opposite. Only 1 year later.
You know, it's interesting. Yesterday during the race, looks like one of our leaders going by.
Is that Ricky there?
I think it may have been Ricky. Might have actually been. It was hard to tell there. But yeah, taking a high line there, coming through at the 10. We'll see. Does not. That may have been Toth there. So I think that might have actually been Baylor that came by there at the 10. So Ricky was already through that camera shot when we first came to it. They're taking a high line there, so they're pretty far away from the camera. Makes it a little bit difficult to follow their travels through there. But it was interesting. Last year coming here, like you said, Roddy, it was already wet. We knew there was rain in the forecast. The track crew went out and built bridges everywhere that they could. Obviously, not enough bridges, as we saw from anyone that followed the race coverage last year. But there was places that aren't even normally creeks or tributaries or anything that suddenly were 4-foot running water. So no one could have anticipated that. But it was very interesting, all the years that we've crossed these semi-dry creek beds. You know, yesterday we're out there racing, crossing them on bridges, and it's so dry. Like, you can't even imagine if there would ever be water in that spot that there's a bridge. You're like, what is this for? Like, I don't even understand what's happening. So had you not have been here last year, like you mentioned, just so dramatically different. Looks like that may be...
Oh, a guy down there.
Stu Baylor by the riding style. Sure looks like him. So Stu Baylor out in the field there at about the 11-mile marker from our Yamaha live drone. Got a little pause. Now we're going to jump ahead to the GBC Tires pit stop. What we see is DK there and back in action, wrenching for his boy Ricky Russell. Ricky going to want to pay him off with the win today. We've talked about it. DK having a heart attack 2 rounds ago, coming back, spectating, kind of helping out a little bit at the last race, but I think he's back to full capabilities and full workload here today. Looks like he's ready to go. They've got the I'm assuming the fuel jug's going to be going in. Again, we'll see. Is there an air filter change? Is there a goggle change? We're going to find out here in just a matter of moments at the 12-mile marker here in the GBC Tires pit stop.
Yes, and if you're noticing, pits are in a completely different location as to you probably have ever seen here at the Ironman GNCC. This is actually the backside of the motocross pro pits for the Ironman motocross, and here comes Ricky Russell, and you can tell by the way the action is down there. Mikey Waynes is watching this one as well very closely, I'm sure.
We're taking a peek at the filter, maybe?
Yeah, it looks like
no,
pulled the filter skin.
Yep.
So Doug Whitmer there. It looks like he got fuel, goggles, a drink, and Doug Whitmer pulling the filter skin. So for those at home that don't know, it's a pre-filter. It's made out of a material that allows air through but stops any moisture, and it also will keep some dust off of the actual foam filter. It's like a nylon weave material, and it really works as a pre-filter, exactly as it sounds. It filters things before it gets to the filter, and what they'll do is they'll run a string out the back, they'll attach it, and they'll drill a little hole in the fender or put it through a gap, and they can literally just pull a string and it pulls the filter out. It almost looked like Doug may have opened the
I think he took a peek at it too.
Filter cover when he pulled the filter skin, because he actually had the filter skin in his hand. A lot of times when they do that, the filter skin will remain in the air box. It just comes off of the filter, but he looked like he was actually holding it. So he took a peek in there, pulled that filter skin off. They were able to do that in less than the amount of time that it took for DK to fill him up with fuel and Tina Remington to give him some goggles there. Looks like we got a couple water bottles waiting to be handed out. Ricky Russell now through the Ironman MX track, running it backwards today. This would be the rhythm section, but they're going to turn off early and come through the finish line. We're going to get a lap time on the 212 of Ricky Russell here, Rodney.
Turning a 29:35 last time around. We'll see what this one looks like, as we're now an hour and nearly 28 minutes plus into this one. And Russell checking in nearly on time, believe it or not. 30 minutes and 19 seconds, a little bit slower. So each lap has gotten a few seconds slower, and I can see where that might be the case, especially when we see him working through some of that lap traffic there on the last lap. The big question is with the changes going on back there in second and third, and of course with the XC2 250 class back there, what our overall is going to be looking like whenever they all check in here in just a few moments at the halfway point.
It's going to be interesting to see. Can Lyndon Snodgrass keep the pace to stay up in there in that podium position? Right now, he's got those guys in sight, which is helping him out a lot. But he's also riding in their dust. So
he's also sucking some dust back there.
Yeah, that's and we talk about so much about how the filters are affected, but the rider's also affected by dust. I mean, you saw yesterday, you saw this morning, and Jordan, you could attest to this. Even with goggles, with all the proper preparation, everybody knows their little tricks that they do, chapstick, baby oil, whatever it may be, a little bit of extra filtration on the foam to keep dust out of your eyes. Even still, and if you keep goggles on all day, at the end of the day, you're just digging that silt and dust out of the corners of your eyes.
Yeah, and your eyes are so just fried. Like, I would call it just stressing, because you're trying to focus so hard to see through everything.
Here is Ricky Russell still charging. I still believe that has to be like glitching between fast forward. We talked about this earlier, because the first time through, it almost looked as though it was he was hitting the fast
Charlie
forward
Chaplin-ish.
Yeah, exactly. But he is ripping through that section for sure, and that it's shown by the lap times. It's shown by the lead. When we see the gaps,
1 minute 25 seconds now. Baylor's checked in. 7 seconds behind him now is Craig DeLong.
So 9 seconds, if my math is correct, is what he was able to make up, because it was 1:34 and now it's 1:25, you said?
Mm-hmm.
So 9 seconds is what he was able to make up on a full push lap. And keeping in mind, Stu was in second when that lap started, pushed everything 9 seconds. You're a minute 34 down. Quick math, it's going to take him 14 laps to catch him.
Yeah.
30 minutes, 19 seconds, as we told you, for that lap for Ricky Russell. 30 minutes, 10 seconds for Stu Baylor. Craig DeLong turned a 30-minute and 6-second lap time. So he's shaved off a little bit of time between himself and Stu back there. So he's got the fastest lap so far on this one. Lyndon Snodgrass checks in with a 30-minute and 21-second lap time. He still is on adjusted time. Second place overall. He is a minute and 20 seconds behind Ricky Russell whenever you look at the clock on that. That puts him only 5 seconds or so ahead of Stu Baylor whenever you look at elapsed time right now. So Baylor has actually gained a lot of time on him and should likely see if this continues, this trend continues. Baylor should be able to get back into that number 2 spot on adjusted time pretty soon.
Jordan, watching this unfold, you're seeing this here on screen. You see Craig DeLong really putting in a push to try and latch onto Stu. They've been about the same gap here the last couple camera shots. What are you seeing as far as rider posture? Who looks good to you? When do you think these guys are going to start making their move if they do want to reel in Ricky Russell?
Yeah, I think they're trying now to it's go time. After the pits, the races, man, it's full on, and DeLong has been riding really good the last few races. I mean, we've had some really intense
epic battle there at Burr Oaks 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was tight. So I mean, in the last race, he was just right on me. So I know the guy can push at the end, and he's going to try to latch on to Stu. And Stu, man, he goes fast at the end of the race. So it's going to be interesting because if they push each other, I mean, as long as DeLong can keep close enough and be able to see the ground, it's they may inch up a bit.
Yeah, and to see a rider like Craig DeLong, who is young, and it is his rookie season in XC1, to see him up here battling now, later in the season, consistently battling for podiums, battling for wins the last couple races, it's a big step for him. And, with that confidence, as we've seen with so many guys, Jordan, you get that win, and suddenly it's like you show up as a completely different rider. And that, Jordan, when we say that, and I know you and I have had this conversation, you said you don't really read the forums, you don't get on social media, but I'm sure every now and again somebody will come to you and say, hey, did you hear what, so-and-so said about you and that kind of stuff. When you say, like, oh, that next level of confidence, such a different rider, like, it's not, I know I can speak for myself, and Rodney, you and I have talked about this as well, like, everybody at this level is an elite athlete, but you just see that little different intensity, and that's when like, okay, Jordan's a guy that's been up battling for podiums, battled for so many wins, just couldn't quite get his grasp on it across the finish line, and then suddenly you did. And when we say he came out like a different rider, it wasn't so much you looked so much faster or anything like that. It's just that you can see confidence on the bike, and a guy like Craig DeLong, you got to feel like he's right on the threshold of that.
Yeah, definitely. Craig's been riding really good, and I think he's kind of there, and he's been latching on to all of us, and he podiumed here last year, right, in the mud race. So yeah, I think he's coming along, and he's going to be there.
Another rider we haven't talked too much about yet, but getting your perspective, Ricky Russell on screen at the 3-mile marker, working his way up Ironman Hill. Interestingly enough, that's a pretty risky move there to follow a lapper up Ironman Hill like that. I probably would have chosen another line,
back
but
a bit, maybe.
It worked out for him. But getting your perspective on this, normally we don't have you or someone of your caliber here in the booth, specifically to break down these riders and kind of what your thoughts are on them. I do know you say you focus a lot on yourself, but I feel like next year, coming into 2023, obviously you as the defending champion, we know Ben Kelly likely, when we say hopefully, of course you hope he's out there and healthy. You want as much competition and all those guys. I think maybe the big-ish news coming in, Johnny Gerard, the previous XC1 champ, out there showing his hand in XC2 champ, showing his hand in XC1 today. What are your thoughts on when you made that move from XC2 to XC1? How difficult is that, and how important is it to really kind of manage your expectations when you're coming in like that?
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, you're never prepared for it. I would say that. It's kind of like you come in from XC2, and it's so easy to get to the back of the XC1 pack, early on in the race. And, once you start up there with everyone, it's just straight off from the get-go. The pace is so intense, and the battles may not be hardly as bloodworthy as XC2 is, because I know those guys really, bang bars, early on for positions. But, we hammer down, and it's a train to hold on to sometimes.
And I have my own philosophies, ideas as to, because this is not a unique to the motorcycle side of things. The ATV side exactly the same. Riders are oftentimes, overall podiums. It has not happened on the bike side, but in ATV we've actually seen a few riders. Walker Fowler, our previous champion, Brian Wolf, have won overalls from the XC2 class. But then, they move up, and it's just hard to kind of replicate those results when they start from the front row. And my philosophy honestly comes down to the XC1 guys. It's a more mature group of riders, and that's not saying XC2 is immature, but generally younger, a little less experienced. And it's like you said, bloodthirsty battles, full go the whole time. The XC1 guys, when the XC2 guys are kind of closing up on them later in the races, they know they're already beat on corrected time. They're managing their race. They're sticking to what they can do. Suddenly, when you're on the same line, those guys get real stingy.
Yeah, for sure. You know, when I was younger, you know, in XC1, more of my rookie seasons, like if I was in a position, you know, towards the end of the race, I knew guys were like, they were coming for me. Like it was all out. Like if I just had, you know, a few seconds, and, you know, you could count on a battle at the end of the race.
Well, speaking of battles, we got one on right now for the second place overall position. It's on time adjustment. Lyndon Snodgrass right now just past the halfway point, leading Stu Baylor by only about 10 seconds on the clock. But Ricky Russell is totally dominating today with nearly a minute and 30-second lead at the halfway point. Can he hang on to that? Can Stu Baylor bridge the gap on time up to second? And how's this one going to finish? Stick around to find out. The Ironman GNCC continues on RacerTV.com.
Last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won a championship, and it was also my first year using Arma. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. You know, like especially in the summertime in Florida, where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees and you're doing 230s and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have a good race here or a good day during the week there, but overall I think where I improved the most was my consistency and my recovery.
Hi, my name is Jody Gordon. I'm an independent AMSOIL dealer. I'm working here at the GNCC Ironman at Ironman Raceway. Traditionally, we always do real well with the motorcycle and ATV oil, but today's featured product is going to be our small engine oil. And this is oil that most generators around here take. And you wouldn't believe how much generator oil we sell here. People come and their generator won't start and they realize it's low on oil because most of these generators have a safety feature that won't let them start when they're low on oil so it doesn't hurt the engine. But it's probably my third best-selling product here just because there's so many campers. And this is a full synthetic small engine oil. It's commercial grade. It's actually got a drain interval up to 200 hours. So it lasts you the whole season typically. So yeah, that's our third best-selling product here at Ironman this year.
Knotty Tires, a division of Greenball Corp, has been in the tire business for over 44 years. We're passionate about developing quality tires that perform great and bring extraordinary value to our customers. Whether you're looking for a tire that can handle your off-road adventures, need a reliable tire to take you from job site to job site, or simply want a tire with a beefier look that won't break the bank, then check out Knotty Tires.
USMCA has been connecting riders to certified coaches since 2016. There are over 300 active certified coaches on motorcyclecoaching.org, and we recently launched our new mobile app, making it easy to connect with a coach and book your next training session. So here's what you do. Download the Motorcycle Coaching app, then search for coaches and upcoming classes. Once a training session is booked, riders have the option to pay for their class and even get a calendar reminder that will automatically sync to their phone. Get connected today.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. With over 40 years of experience in motorcycle sales and service, we know racing. Our inventory of Yamaha motorcycles, sport bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides is extensive and constantly changing. Stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
OnTrackSchool.com. Check it out.
Brown's RV Superstore is family owned and operated and stake their reputation on offering you the finest RVs available in their McBee, South Carolina RV dealership. Brown's RV Superstore carries motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, and toy haulers, and keep a huge inventory of new and used RVs in stock for you to choose from. They offer top dollar for your RV trade-in and help you get the RV financing you need. As a part of the GNCC family, Brown's RV Superstore, in partnership with Vengeance Toy Haulers, offers sponsorship packages for every level of racer with discounts and continued savings on your new toy hauler. Brown's RV Superstore has dedicated themselves to complete customer satisfaction, specializing in providing a positive start to your RV adventure. They look forward to customers coming back to share their tales from the road. Call Brown's RV Superstore today at 877-805-3658 or visit their website at brownsrvsuperstore.com, where family fun begins.
First ever national champion of cross-country racing for the youth division. Johnny, what did you think of it?
It was a nice track. It was just, I lost a shock bolt and the shock came undone a couple laps from the end, and I had to make up a little bit of time.
It looks like you got in some of that mud out there. Did you have any problems? Did you get stuck at all?
No, one time I tried to go past a left rider and I got on the wrong trail, and it took me up off this other hill, so I had to turn around and come back.
That last lap, we heard you yelling, I think it's number 5 here, pointing to get out of your way. Where'd you finally get around him?
Oh, he finally let me by. He pulled over to the side of the track and let me by. I think that was really nice.
That's good sportsmanship. Congratulations on your win. See you back at the next one, right?
Yep.
Number 7, Johnny Gallagher from Ohio. We'll take the checkered flag. And he is the first rider in history to win the Youth Cross Country National Championship.
A very popular podium ride for Johnny Gallagher. Scoring one for the 30-plus set, showing that he still has what it takes. And there it is, Johnny Gallagher on the podium, and our checkered flagman, Ricky Towery is even pumped, as are all the people from Yamaha with that performance.
My friends, monumental things are about to take place here today. That is Johnny Gallagher out front.
Yes.
Johnny Gallagher on his way home, my friends, to a win here at the X Factor GNCC. This has been 23 seasons in the making of an XC1 Pro Class rider. And my friends, dreams do come true. Johnny Gallagher just won the X Factor GNCC, my friends. And do you think I'm a little bit excited?
Dude,
I am super stoked.
Congratulations once again to Johnny Gallagher. 27 years, my friend, an amazing career as well. We see there as well from a small child, a part of the GNCC Racing Nation. What was that, the Sand Flea or something you were getting an interview with?
Yeah, Sand Flea 100. That would have been 1989 or 1990. So,
you know, did you notice how much he still looks the same? Only, I mean, you haven't changed since you were a little kid. That was amazing. But sitting alongside Johnny Gallagher here today in the booth, I'm Rodney Tomlin. Jordan Ashburn, the newly crowned 2022 GNCC Motorcycle Champion. Of course, Mikey Wayne's back here in the wings as well, and we are in the midst of watching a well, the final race of 2022 unfold here. Some might say anticlimactic as far as championships are concerned on this day, but on the flip side of that, there are so many other things that are going on from the backside with silly season, people trying to make those statements and rise to new occasions on this final round of racing, like we see Ricky Russell here.
Yeah, Ricky Russell definitely rising to the occasion. The 212 machine on an absolute mission, putting down a pace so far that no one's been able to match. Stu Baylor last lap was able to chip away 9 seconds. 9 seconds on a 1:30 gap with only 3 laps of racing remaining. He's going to come up over a minute short if all things remain the same. Now, we know Stu is not going to give up on this. You know, the frustration got to be setting in. Jordan, back to that a little bit. You know, you're out there, you're pushing. You've been in this position before. Maybe you're a little bit faster than the guy that's leading or the guy in front of you. You're pushing. And when you see that you just pushed for, I think we're running right around 30-minute lap times. You said 29s, 30s. 30 minutes of effort to make up 9 seconds. That's great when you're 16 seconds behind. But when you're seeing on the pit board that you're a 1:30 back, go through that feeling for us.
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, it's tough. Like if you're just barely inching away like that, and you know the track doesn't have sections where you can you're faster than everybody else. You know, to make up that time, it's hard. I mean, it's a hard situation to be in, knowing that you're not going to be able to make up that time.
Absolutely. I mean, no matter how hard deep you dig, sometimes it's hard. But this guy right here seems to be able to dig so much deeper than other people at times, it seems like.
Absolutely.
Oh, look at this. Craig DeLong still putting the pressure on Stu Baylor.
There, yeah.
Whew. Craig DeLong is latched on to Baylor heavy, and he's not letting him go. Looks like here is, nope, that's a lap rider there. So those two have really distanced them now.
They're pulling. I mean, they're going together, you know. Yeah, and it may be frustrating for Craig, you know, if he could get around Stu, maybe he could make a push.
That's something that we haven't seen much. You know, we talk about how strong the Baylors are late in a GNCC race, 3-hour events. You know, we're hour 50 into this right now. We're getting deep into this race. Normally when we see, you know, the Grizzly and Baylor Heavy really start to shine, and right now he got a little guy behind him that looks like he wants to get in a brawl with the big bear. Here he is, your XC2 leader, Lyndon Snodgrass, the 178, wrapped up the championship 2 weeks ago, putting the wraps on his first XC2 title for that Babbitt's Online Monster Energy team, here Kawasaki team, in the Monster Mile, so fitting. And is this, we know our second place rider was really putting on a charge. That's actually Josh Toth, so that would be your 4th place rider in the XC1 class, 5th physically on the track there. So Snodgrass all the way up to the 5th place position physically.
So have we seen Johnny yet?
Johnny has not come by. This should be Johnny.
Yeah,
Here it is.
Yep.
And I started to allude to that a little bit. You know, coming in, a guy like Johnny Gerard, we talked about kind of how it is different from XC1 to XC2. You know, not trying to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot. You know, Johnny's a talent. He's a grinder. Do you think he can be a factor in the XC1 class in his first year next year?
I think he can, but I think it's going to be tough at the same time. You know, it's like today, like he's probably a little upset. You know, Lyndon catches him, you know, right there the first lap, but catches up, and that's hard. You know, you get a bad start in XC1. Those XC2 guys, they'll be right on you. You make a few mistakes, and boom, they're right there.
And that's, I mean, not necessarily demoralizing, but definitely deflating.
No, it is demoralizing. It absolutely is.
It's not fun because, you know, those guys are so talented in XC2, like you can't necessarily get away from them very easily either, you know.
And that, it truly becomes a fight with yourself and your inner demons, you know, like you're questioning yourself, and you might have just had a bad lap, and that happens. But, you know, when you're out there and you're pushing, and, you know, maybe things aren't going the greatest, and so all of a sudden you hear this bike behind you, look back and you're like, this guy, he started a minute behind me, and he's right on me, and then it's almost like, at least for me, and I'm at a different point in my career, you're like, man, I don't really want to mess up his day, so I'll try to latch onto him, and that can work in your favor a lot of times. Not on a day like today.
If I was in that situation, it's like, you can't like, they want to get by you because they think they've caught you, but you can't let them by you. Like, you still got the rest of the day to go and to try to get back away and get your time back.
And especially on a day like today.
Absolutely.
All drafting, as we talk about it, out the window on a day like today. You don't want to be behind anybody.
No.
And if you can't make a pass, this is something it's so hard to teach younger riders. If you can't make a pass, you don't want to be right on someone's. It's so complex.
There was Ricky.
Yeah, Ricky Russell coming through the Yamaha Force there at mile marker number 10, making tracks. We'll get an exact gap as he comes through the finish line here in about 2 more miles. But, there's places where, depending on how the dust is and how the track is, you want to be right on someone's rear wheel because you can kind of ride off their helmet, as we talk about. You basically, even though you can't see the track, you kind of just ride, and when their bike goes up, you got something coming up. When their bike goes down, you got a drop coming. And as crazy as that sounds to say, Jordan, am I making this up?
There's no way to make a pass unless you're that close.
Yeah.
Like, if you're sitting back here where you can see, you're not going to be able to make a pass on a guy, even if he blows it. Sometimes even if he falls, because he can get back up right in front of you. And I think at Burr Oak, whenever I fell in front of everybody on TV, I think I had 5 guys behind me that my bike had fell funny, and nobody could get around. So it's not always that way.
And the flip side of that, not a factor thus far today, but that air filter thing. When you're living in that rear wheel zone, your air filter has not seen clean air in hours. It's just sucking dust, sucking dust, sucking dust. So at some point, if you just can't make that pass, there is a point where you just kind of have to regroup and say, all right, this next section of track, I feel I'm better than him. I'm going to drop back, get some clean air, catch my breath, get a drink. As we see Stu Baylor there coming through, that is your second place rider, and still in his shadow.
Well, the big question for me, I mean, we talk about these strategies as far as, not drafting, not being too close to him. I mean, how do you know when to push, when to attack, and when to go for the passes? I mean, do you look for areas where it's not so dusty? Or
I think you kind of, as the race goes on, you as a racer, like, you find the sections of the track where you feel fast. Like, maybe I'm a little faster than the guy in front of me at the 4 mile marker. That whole section, a section through there, and it's something you look for.
It's a little extra incentive and motivation then, and it helps out, I'm sure. But
and that may be what Craig's doing here. He could be. He's still right on Stu. He's right in the dust zone. So
dust to glory, baby. Man, it's just thick and it's hanging now. You just get a couple riders. Now we're talking about, we're up into that lap 4, getting ready to complete lap number 4. We'll be near 2 hours into this thing, and now they're really thick into lappers. So it's not just the dust from the riders in front of them. They've also got lappers, and man, you can see it just kind of hanging there. It's like riding into a cloud on top of a mountain. You can't see it, and then suddenly you pop out, you got clear air, and you're able to pin it again for a while. And Jordan, I'm going to impart a little wisdom to you here. How old are you now?
31.
So, Jordan, 31 years old. I'm going to tell you right now, you got a lot of good years ahead of you. I peaked at 39, so you got at least 8 years left. But I will tell you the one thing, in my opinion, and you can talk to Barry Hawk, you can talk to Chris Borich, you can talk to any of these guys that have raced, late into their 30s, and somewhere in your 30s there, suddenly the dust is going to become your nemesis. I don't know what it is about it. My vision is still perfect, but it's just your brain no longer allows you to charge into the unknown. So maybe you can be the guy that flips that all, and 10 years from now we're talking about your 11th GNCC or 10th GNCC championship, and you're saying, yeah, man, dust races are still my favorite, but it definitely becomes a challenge. It's harder and harder to just blindly trust that you think you know what should or shouldn't be there.
Yeah, because honestly, you have no idea. A lot of times you're riding by feel at that point. When you can't see below your front fender, it's scary. It's tough.
And that's a lot of what's going on. We did see Ricky Russell through here on the Yamaha Live drone shot. This is just out near the main road coming in and out of here, and I know we've talked about it already. We had some drone shots, but what a turnout here this weekend, not only for racers but spectators. I heard a number, 450 RVs lined up at 4 p.m. on Thursday to get in here. And so that's probably a tenth, maybe, of what was here. I don't know the gate numbers. We'll get the registration numbers, obviously, at the end of the weekend. We'll find out exactly how many racers we had. I did hear 530 morning ATVs yesterday. I had heard upwards between the two morning races of near 1,000 or upwards of 1,000 racers. And it just goes to show, man, Indiana absolutely loves GNCC racing. GNCC Racing loves Indiana.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, and last night's show, the Monster Energy concert series, Tyler Farr on stage last night, that was pretty cool, and the crowd that came out for that was phenomenal.
There is Stu Baylor, the 514 Am Pro Yamaha, into P2 pushing, and within the next about 2 minutes here, we're going to get a tail of the tape, and we're going to see a 2-lap board out, and we're going to find out. Last lap, it was 1 minute and 25 seconds. He made up 9 seconds. Ricky Russell all the way through the GBC Tires pit stop. Again, roundabouts a minute plus ahead of Stu. We'll get an official number here, but I can tell you just from watching on screen, Stu may have made up time, but he's not half this gap. He's not, gotten it down to where he can see him. He still definitely has some ground to make up if he wants to get up to the rear wheel of Ricky Russell. A masterful performance thus far for the 212 Coastal Racing rider.
Absolutely. And I know Stu is really charging right now. He's going to really try to charge the next 2 laps and try to whittle that down.
I have a question, and Rodney, Mikey, you're here as well. We can get your input on this. Normally we talk about who's going to win the race. Let's skip right over this one and say, I have a question for you. It's a yes or no answer. Jordan, I'll start, so I'm not the first one on the, I'll be the first one on record, because Stu watches all these races back, and I hear about it. Can Ricky Russell break Stu Baylor right now? Because if Stu Baylor, again, 2 laps in a row, pushes, and he's not able to make inroads, which it really looks like he isn't making any, does Stu Baylor just say, well, it's a 2 for me today, or does he keep digging? Can Ricky break him or not? I'll say right now, if he doesn't make up any time, measurable time on this lap, I don't think Stu's got it to keep, mentally, to just keep pushing when it seems an unattainable goal. I think Ricky's going to break him.
Yeah, I think Ricky's going to break him.
I'm of the same mindset. I'm going to say the same thing. I think Ricky's going to break him today.
But Mikey Waynes does not have a microphone and is just shaking his head that he's not answering this question. Stu's going to watch this back.
All right, I have the exact same answer, but just to stir the pot. Absolutely, he's going to catch him. Stu's going to catch him. He's going to catch him. He's going to win this by 30 seconds.
Well, if Stu catches him, is Craig going to catch him? Because Craig was on his wheel.
That's the other thing.
Craig's still right there. So this isn't a Ricky Russell versus Stu Baylor battle. This is a Ricky Russell battle versus himself. The real battle right now on the track is Stu Baylor versus Craig DeLong, and it's shaping up to get even closer. Yeah, the fact that. Go ahead.
And here's what I was going to say. What happens if Craig gets around Stu in these last 2 laps? And that right there will be a true breaker. And
Stu's pulled a little bit right here.
Yeah. And Stu Baylor's going to be wide. I mean, he's not going to let Craig by. And it's very hard to race, in that dust like we talked about. The vision is so hard.
Stu's a really hard guy to pass anyways.
Yeah, he's stingy with his lines. Rightfully so. You're not going to hand it to somebody. And Rodney, what do we got? Stu Baylor checked in.
Well, we got Ricky Russell checking in that last time around, a 30-minute and 15-second lap time. At the end of lap number 4 for Stu Baylor, he turns in a 30-minute and 9-second lap time. 1 minute and 19.751 seconds, so say basically a minute 20 seconds still behind him right now. So he barely gained 4 seconds or so on him. And when I say break him, I don't necessarily mean completely break his spirit, but what I'm saying is the momentum that Ricky is racing at right now, I think it's going to be tough. Now, a lot does factor in here. But I think we got a long enough track, and I don't think we're really going to have to worry about the lap traffic end of this. But have we really seen how fast Stu Baylor can turn it up today? I mean, has he really been riding at that level? He may be saving himself for this final hour, which would obviously then make us all look kind of silly saying that. But, it's hard not to say that whenever Ricky's looking as good as he is right now out front.
Here's the thing. The reason why they run the races is we don't get to decide by watching a portion of the race who's going to win. When I say break him, what I mean is there's a momentum in a race.
Absolutely.
There's a flow of things. Stu Baylor, if he's able to make up, even a third of the gap in a lap, and he thinks, well, I made those few mistakes, I can pick up another 5 seconds here, another 2 seconds there, and suddenly I've halved the gap, and I got 2 laps left. Mathematically, this is all making sense. Stu's told us a number of times, we've all heard it, hey man, I'm doing math in my head, I'm doing the points, I know where I'm at, I need to make sure that I get the red plate. We heard that so many times last year, doing complex math equations in his head to figure things out. Right now, the only numbers that matter are the numbers on the pit board. And when he's doing math, he's saying, I charged for 30 minutes and I made up 4.xx seconds. So, I'm sorry, that's broken. It's not that he can't do it, but right now I'm going to make the statement. Ricky Russell's race to lose, not Stu Baylor's race to win.
I can agree with that, absolutely. And, at the same time, Stu has to be thinking, as much as anything, he recognizes that Ricky's on that ride today as well. And like you say, it's hard to bridge that gap. But the one thing that he does have to do is, for his mentality's sake and for the sake of not giving Craig the satisfaction and the confidence heading into next year, he can't let Craig get around him, basically, is probably more important than tracking down right now Ricky Russell and beating him.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And when I say, Stu Baylor potentially broken mentally, that's not giving up.
No, absolutely not.
That's just saying, like, hey, man, sometimes you got to live to fight another day. And I've given it a good shot here 2 laps in a row, made up 9 seconds one lap, made up 4-point-something seconds the next, which, again, great numbers if you're dealing with a 20-second deficit. But when you're dealing with starting off at 1 minute and 34 seconds, the next lap 1 minute and 25, the next lap 1:19.9, like, at some point it just starts to be too big of a gap to try and bridge. And is it worth the risk? And I think Stu is a smarter rider than he would have been a few years ago, just to keep pinning it. Obviously, he knows, hey, last race of the season, he's got an enduro coming up in 2 weeks. That championship has been decided. His brother, did lock up that championship, but nonetheless, there is still another race to be had for him. And rumors say, Stu's, we don't know where he is next year. Is he back with the M-Pro team? Is he doing something different? So, a lot of balls in the air, but the one right now that he needs to be most concerned with is the guy behind him. That is not him there, but Craig DeLong, looking like that gap has now opened up a little bit more. There he is, the 342 machine on that Rockstar Racing Husqvarna. Honestly, the standout rookie of the last couple seasons, but surely of the 2022 campaign. Coming out, gunning for podiums, sitting second in points right now as they run, and mathematically, I don't even have to look. He will finish second in points. Nobody can bump him off there. Even if obviously Ricky Russell wins, he will take over third place in points, but would still be too far behind Craig DeLong to pick up. Craig doesn't even have to finish second in points at this point. So that's a pretty impressive performance for a XC1 rookie. Ricky Russell again stepping up over the far right line of Ironman Hill here at the 3-mile marker. And we'll wait and we'll watch for that gap to Stu Baylor, and we'll definitely keep an eye on that. We don't give trophies away until checkered flags fly, but I think what we're watching is Ricky Russell riding semi-uncontested to a win, and we're going to see a battle develop between Craig DeLong and Stu Baylor.
All right, here we are just over 2 hours into this race right now, and obviously Jordan Ashburn, as we said, here in booth with us, our newly crowned 2022 champion. Watching this race, is it hard for you to be trackside? Do you feel like you should be out there today, or are you comfortable with this?
I'm pretty comfortable now. I watched the start and I was not comfortable. It's like one of those dreams you have where you're late to the starting line. Like, I was on the starting line, I'm like,
show up to school in your underwear kind of a thing.
I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm supposed to be out here, but it's like, all right, just go to the woods, like, get away from the start. But it is cool. It's I've never been in a position to watch a race, much less not have to worry about losing any ground or anything toward it. So actually, I guess I did technically watch this race last year as well from the sideline, but it was after lap 1.
Now
here comes Stu.
Yeah. Minute 20 still
stabilized right there at a minute 20. So I have a question for you, Jordan. And here he is, Craig DeLong there, taking that far right line. As cumbersome as it is getting into that line, I almost think Stu Baylor, with his line a little further to the left, seems like he's got better entry speed. So I don't know how we're not seeing him go up the hill. Okay.
The exit's good on the right one, or well, on the left on the screen. So.
Oh, well, so I think that line Stu's taking appears to be faster because he's just carrying. You're saying the left exit.
So like as you get over the top of the hill,
yep,
it's straighter.
Okay.
So I think that's kind of their goal there is.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's. But Stu's got a lot of good entry speed coming in there. So, Jordan, I have a question. This is a pretty, it applies to me personally. Obviously, when you left home this weekend, you knew you were coming to GNCC, but you knew, I believe you had already decided there was no racing this weekend. What's that like? Because I'm going to have that coming up. I think it was snowshoe in 2018. I did not race. I watched the race. I had a broken collarbone, 7 days out of surgery. But when I left home, I had every intention of racing, and I had some good friends named Tracy Pickens and Becca Sheets that talked me out of that and told me that there was a thing called, the bacteria. It was Staphylococcus.
Yeah.
And I had an open incision from surgery, and they said, you're an idiot. You're not going out there. You're not racing. But when I left home, I thought I was racing. So your perspective, heading into the weekend, knowing you're not racing, just coming to hang out with the family and see your friends and team, how's that adjustment?
It was an adjustment, but it's kind of nice because coming into this week, in the week, it's like I'm not loading gear in the camper. I'm just loading baby stuff, and as far as the preparation for food and nutrition, like we didn't prepare all that this weekend.
Stopped at McDonald's, got some chicken nuggets.
It was kind of whatever.
It was kind of a normal family outing for you.
It was, and that's kind of out of the ordinary for us because we're racing so much and gone so much. It was nice.
Wow, probably a shock to the kids, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Now, a question that I have, obviously, you're a little different than the traditional GNCC pros that basically tend to be in the Carolinas and into the Florida and stuff like that, doing a lot of the training in that area. You stay home there in Tennessee, West Tennessee, and do a lot of your training, right?
Yeah, actually kind of Middle East Tennessee. So,
okay.
Yeah, we're right in between Nashville and Knoxville. And
okay.
We're in a great area for riding. There's a lot of riders in the area, so it's good training grounds, and of course that's always why I've preferred going to the more gnarlier tracks up north. And but it's for me, being around my area and my home, like that's where I'm comfortable, and I like doing my thing.
Do you put a lot of seat time in the winter? I mean, are you on the bike a lot in the winter, or do you rely on a lot of other assets?
Yeah, we ride some, but not a lot, and
Josh Toth in the pits, looking like he is done for the day. We'll see if we can get an update on exactly what has happened there with Josh. Was running up in the second place position for a while and then kind of hovering around the top 5 there. So unfortunate early end to his day.
Well, definitely an early end to his day, but we do have several riders that are not looking for an early end. As Stu Baylor hanging on to not only the physical second place position, now he has moved into the time adjusted second. Craig DeLong is 3rd overall, and physically Lyndon Snodgrass now back to 4th overall as he continues to lead the XC2 Pro 50 class. We also have Jonathan Gerard in his first ride in the XC1 class, rounding out your top 5 overall. 4th in class. Tough break there for Josh Toth, and still just under an hour left of racing to go here at the Ironman GNCC.
Last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won a championship, and it was also my first year using Arma. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. Like especially in the summertime in Florida where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees and you're doing 230s and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have a good race here or a good day during the week there, but overall I think where I improved the most was my consistency in my recovery.
Canati Tires, a division of Greenball Corp, has been in the tire business for over 44 years. We're passionate about developing quality tires that perform great and bring extraordinary value to our customers. Whether you're looking for a tire that can handle your off-road adventures, need a reliable tire to take you from job site to job site, or simply want a tire with a beefier look that won't break the bank, then check out Canati Tires.
Hi, I'm Steve with Yamaha. I'm here with Rachel in New Market Elementary here in Crawfordsville, and we're super excited to be engaged in an all-kids bike giveaway. And what I mean by giveaway is with the help of the Yamaha Outdoor Access Initiative, we've partnered with All Kids Bike to afford the opportunity to donate 24 Strider bikes to the local community, to the local school, and it's a kindergarten class. And there's about 80 kids total, and these bikes will rotate through. And the whole goal is really to get them outside, and if not outside, inside on a bike. Really get them started on 2 wheels, get them some exercise, right? Get them off that screen. So Rachel's been kind enough to join us here at the Ironman GNCC. We're in the middle of putting these things together. Luckily, there's not too much to do, so even I can handle it. And so it's Friday. We'll get these all together. We've got guys from GBC. We've got Walker Fowler Racing back there. We've got Randy from AmPro. Rachel Pickens and her husband, Jeff, are struggling through a bike. Not struggling, getting done really quick. So a lot of help to get these bikes built. And then on Monday, we'll actually take them to the school. And with Rachel and Jennifer from Yamaha, they're going to be donating them. And hopefully we'll do that to an excited group of kids. And again, like I said, get them on 2 wheels, get them out, get them about, get them getting some exercise. So right now I'm going to exercise my brain and try and put this thing together. And then on Monday we'll put them in front of a bunch of kids ready to get on 2 wheels.
All right, and we're back here at, we got our finish line shot and our leaders working their way through lap number 5 of a 6-lap race. You can see the dust still kicking up here. It's a pretty cool thing there yesterday, Rodney. We on Friday we assembled some bicycles for to give away to a local Crawfordsville school district, and actually tomorrow morning some folks from Yamaha, and I believe myself as well, will be heading to the local school, giving those to the superintendent, the principal, what have you, that's going to be distributing those bicycles to the kids. And a very cool program. And actually, that was all going to go down on Friday, and then we kind of found out that they were on fall break. So I'm going to spend an extra night here. I'm just not ready for the retirement to start yet. We're going to spend an extra night here tonight, and then tomorrow morning we're going to go and take care of the business end of things on that. And yeah, pretty cool though. You know, obviously, Rodney, you know, here at GNCC, we're a big fan of being active and being outside.
Absolutely.
We want to keep the kids moving, and yeah, it was pretty cool. 24 Strider bicycles, and also a bicycle for the instructor as well, the teacher, to be able to kind of teach the kids how to ride bikes. And the statistic, I didn't hear the audio on that piece, but I can tell you what I was told is the statistics right now on kids on bicycles is down considerably over what it had been years past. And Tracy Pickens, you saw her there in the background there helping put bicycles together. She said she had, in their local school district, they had done like a survey, less than 40% of the kids had bicycles. And now, mind you, this isn't about a money thing. It's just that it's a different world today. You know, the kids are more involved in electronics and all that kind of things, and they're just not spending the time outside. And we want to get riders on bicycles, because bicycles turn into dirt bikes and ATVs.
Absolutely, and if nothing else, it gets the kids out as well. And I tell you, Johnny, you know, you talk about the involvement that Yamaha has, a lot of it here, and this being the final round of the year, it's kind of like a big party, of course, a big celebration for you and your retirement celebration there on stage last night. A little wouldn't necessarily call it a celebration, but obviously a little farewell.
A send-off.
A send-off from the race fans. And, of course, we got to meet our champions, both ATV and the motorcycle side of things. And, again, a historic first, both the ATV team and the motorcycle team from the same team, which I thought was pretty spectacular. We had our Moto Hero presentation, and I could watch the body language, and our Moto Hero was just really elated. And of course, a great show with Tyler Farr there last evening. He was on the show there yesterday afternoon, but really digging what we have going on here at the GNCC race. They said that's my kind of people right there.
I'll tell you what I was really digging last night. Two things, Rodney. One selfishly, one not so. The crowd. The crowd was huge. There was, as far as you looked out there, I mean, you know, we had our great team of Mikey Waynes and obviously DJ Judd up there just getting the people hyped up. Mikey Waynes, a local celebrity here in the town of Crawfordsville. I think 95% of those 20,000 people in the crowd last night were just here to see Mikey Waynes. His face is on a billboard out there near I-74. He is a product of this town, and Rodney's got something to say.
And last night I was sitting with some locals. Some friends of mine live down the road, the other backs, and I was talking with someone, and I said the name Mikey Waynes, and one guy goes, Mikey Waynes, isn't he one of the local DJs on the radio station or something around here? I think I've heard him on the radio. And I said, yeah, he does some stuff for the local radio around here.
Well, just seeing the crowd here in this kind of transitions into something else, but selfishly, one of the cool things about last night, Steve Nessel and the folks at Yamaha presented me with the YZ250F.
Absolutely.
YZ250FX, 18-inch rear wheel, ready for the woods. So I'm going to race some dirt bike races next year. So if you want to see somebody fall down, come watch some morning dirt bike races in 2023. So that was pretty cool. But going back to that crowd and really the vibe here at Ironman, I've said this before, we haven't talked about it this year, or I haven't at least. Coming here the first year in 1995, all the places that we'd go to, save for Blackwater. Blackwater was an anomaly. This was the first place. Mikey Waynes, how old would you have been in 1995? So 10-year-old Mikey Waynes is watching these big rigs, and by big rigs, I mean pickup trucks with 6-foot trailers, rolling into town. This was the first place I can ever remember coming to. The first year we came here, signs up. Welcome, GNCC racers. All the local cafes were running specials. This town embraced GNCC racing from day one. Little history there, obviously. Bob Sloan, the Ironman. This is called the Ironman race, named after him. Was a prolific racer in the ATV side of things, multi-time professional champion. Also raced a dirt bike on the same weekends. That's where he got the nickname Ironman. That's where this race bears its name from. So he was known in the community. It was known that he was a boy from Crawfordsville, just like Mikey Waynes. Grew up to hit it big, traveled all around the country winning championships. When the series came back here in 1995, Crawfordsville welcomed GNCC with open arms. It's been that way ever since. And it translates into what you see here. There is Stu Baylor on screen at the Monster Mile, and I think we missed Ricky Russell. This looks to be Craig DeLong still on a charge.
Man, still, yeah.
Mom's got a water bottle there, and he saes, nah, there's a guy in front of me I want to go catch, and just drops the hammer on that Rockstar Energy Racing Husqvarna. For a minute there, I had a panic attack. I thought that was Ricky Russell coming. I don't have a vested interest in who wins these things, but essentially, I just basically said it was his race to lose, and I don't want to put that kind of evil on him.
The announcer's cursed. I tell you, we haven't really looked a whole lot, I don't think, at that XC2 250 Pro class, other than obviously they up in the top overall just a little bit there. So we'll look back there just a little bit and see how things are going. Snodgrass and Barbosa are still running first and second. We talked about the time differences early on. Barbosa was looking to chip away at the lead that Snodgrass has. Last time around, though, it looks like our Phoenix Honda racer turned a 30-minute and 51-second lap time, which was about 15 or so seconds slower than Snodgrass. So the gap now is 1 minute and 27 seconds, but Barbosa is still solid in the number 2 spot. Draper, well, I wouldn't say so solid, because Draper is still back there in that number 3 position, and 30 seconds back behind that is Ryder Lafferty with Benjamin Herrera, another Chilean out there with us, rounding out the top 5.
Rodney, I believe Jordan's going to go and head back out to the woods, do some cheering, take some things in. But
Rodney, it's been an absolute honor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to talk on here with you and over the years, and appreciate everything you've done for us.
Well, I appreciate you too, Jordan, and congratulations on winning the championship. I'll be watching next year and rooting you on, man. I think it was an amazing feat that you were able to pull off, and I got to watch you grow up, you know, and to see that you do that over the last 10 years especially, you know, what you've grown into as a racer has been remarkable. So good luck in your future endeavors, man.
And best wishes on everything you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Well, folks, I think it's safe to say that that man right there leaving the studio, Jordan Ashburn, it's been stated how many times coming into the season he's left out of the preseason hype. You know, you talk about potential race winners, potential championship contenders. He's a guy that's consistently found himself in the top 3, not only his individual races, but more times than not at the end of the season. I think there's no question that next year, when we're talking about the short list of contenders, a name that's going to be right, not just near the top, at the top, Jordan Ashburn, will be your defending champion in the 2020
He'll be a little hard to overlook.
Yeah, it's hard to overlook a bike with that big #1 on it, which is exactly what he's going to be rocking next year.
Mikey Wings joining us back.
Crawfordsville's own.
I could barely get my headset on after you guys pumping me up. You know, it barely fits. It barely fit to begin with.
A mere stone's throw from here.
I don't even know if it's a stone's throw. It might be like a skip and a jump.
Ricky Russell on screen at the 10-mile marker through the Yamaha woods and kicking up dust. See some lap riders coming through. We'll see what the gap is. And this will be 5 laps of 6 complete. Approaching the 2.5-hour mark. We'll be just shy of it, meaning we'll be just shy of a 3-hour race, but not much at all. And Ricky Russell still leading the way. Really, honestly, been uncontested. Put in that burner on lap 1, putting everybody 58 seconds in his rear view mirror. Lap number 2, another burner, stretching that 58 seconds out to 1:34. Then since then, 1:25, 1:19.9, and we'll see the tail of tape here at lap number 5 when he comes in, checks in with 5 laps complete. But we can see right now, no Stu Baylor yet here at the 10-mile marker. Ricky's lead still impressive, still comfortable. Ricky Russell riding an absolute phenomenal race right from the flag drop on this one, Mikey.
Man, 1:19 when he checked it. It's ridiculous. You think about that, put it in perspective. That's not like, these aren't C riders out there. There's not one guy out there that sandbagged. These are your pro guys. And in off-road, oftentimes you see them, finishing just seconds apart. And Ricky Russell out there doing it with a 1:19 lead this time.
Yeah, Ricky absolutely just laying it down right from the gate, the flag drop on this one. He was able to get to the front. He's been pushing the pace, and he's got a certain level of, confidence. Here comes Stu Baylor now, and I got to tell you, it's easy when you get kind of sucked into the talking, the hype, you lose track of time, but I'm going to tell you, the way this feels, I think that gap has grown. I think we're looking at more than 1:20 seconds. It's really... really impressive that even with Craig DeLong pushing Stu Baylor, and Stu Baylor obviously digging and grinding, not able to make any inroads into Ricky Russell's lead. And honestly, just gut feel, I think it might be up a few seconds. I think anytime he may have gained back, he may have lost. Again, we'll know for sure. We can speculate and kind of guesswork, but when he comes through the finish line, that transponder scores, and we'll know exactly what we're working with, and we'll also know that there will be Ricky Towery with a white flag waving.
It's always interesting. Is that coming through? I think it's me. I think I'm that congested. Sorry, folks.
Mikey Waynes, what happened was we talked, about how prolific and how amazing and the celebrity that he is here in Crawfordsville, Indiana, and now it's gone to his head, and his ears don't work.
Now my ears don't work. Nothing's new. Now you sound like my second-grade teacher.
Who's probably here in the race
who is quite possibly Mrs. Hester, if you're out there.
Did you hear that?
No, I did not.
His ears don't work. Our producer just came in and said 1:38 is what the gap was when they checked it on screen there. So it's up 19 seconds from what it was a lap ago. So the 9 seconds he made up, the 4 seconds he made up, those are gone, and another 5. Yeah. So Ricky Russell just absolutely on rails out there today.
Putting on a clinic. I mean, it's nuts. How big is this? I mean, we talk about silly season all the time. It is what it is. Just that silly season, but how big is it to carry? We talk about momentum, talk about that as snowshoe right before summer break. Hey, maybe season's not going how you want it to. That's the race you want to finish strong because you carry that confidence boost into the summer break. How important is that for off season as well?
It's very important. I mean, obviously, everybody kind of gets a reset period. Jordan and I were just talking about that off camera. When he was asked how much riding do you do kind of in the winter, and when you ask a GNCC XC1 racer, how much riding do you do in the winter for us is post-Ironman. I know there's some guys that are racing the National Enduro in 2 weeks, but aside from that, post-Ironman through Christmas, that's winter. Because day after Christmas, everybody's Florida bound or wherever it is that they ride and train, and they're starting to put in the laps. So there's not a lot of downtime. So as much as you can say you get a reset, I mean, you're really only looking at 7-8 weeks of fully downtime. So that's not a lot of time to revamp a program, to fix your confidence, to kind of lick any wounds that you may have had. So finishing out the season strong, more times than not, we see that transfer into starting the next season strong, mentally and physically. It is a big factor, and Ricky Russell just absolutely flexing on these guys today. And, there's a lot, I think, going on there with Ricky. Has been getting stronger as the season went. He had some early injuries. He came back. He was kind of in that 708, 808, 608, 508. Just wasn't up there battling for podiums, honestly.
But he was up there battling early in those races.
But he felt like he should be there. He would get up there, and then he kind of got to the point where he could stay for an hour. And then it was 2 hours. And then obviously at the Mason-Dixon, inspired by a personal tragedy, he comes out swinging, wins that race, and really controls that race from early on and wins. Grabbing that win is second. Here we go, Stu Baylor on screen. And again, we're told 1 minute and 38 seconds, give or take, is what the gap is from Ricky Russell. Then comes back, battles Jordan Ashburn, basically right to the finish at Snowshoe for the win there, giving up the win with a crash on an uphill, but right there. And then coming back from break, Ricky Russell has been at least through 2.5 plus hours of each of these races, or 2 hours plus, has been in the battle for the win at all of these. And he really has been just a different rider since the midway point of this season. And I think this could be the crowning achievement of 2022 for Ricky Russell. If he's able to start to finish, wire to wire, lead this in such a dominant fashion, you just can't help but think that that's going to really carry over to next season.
He's certainly on the move right now, no doubt about that. Doing very well here at Ironman to close out the season.
And there we see Stu Baylor working his way through. That's a pretty interesting section of racetrack right there. Very rocky. A lot of, it's gotten incredibly rough from the start of our race yesterday to the finish. It went from like, oh, here's a few bumps to, your ATV was disappearing into holes, and you're like, is that thing still down there? So not a lot of moisture, and it just kind of allows the loose soil to kind of move around underneath you. And that, keep in mind, that section he's riding in right now in October of whatever weekend it was of 2021.
Oh my goodness.
There was 17.5 feet of water in that valley.
Yes.
And we were racing through it. Stu Baylor into the GBC Tires pit stop, and he is going to pass the Empro Yamaha rig. Still riding with intensity, but nothing doing and trying to close down the gap, and still pressure from behind from this man right here, Craig DeLong, the 342 Rockstar Energy Racing Husqvarna.
Well, going back and talking about the breaking point and whether or not Stu would be broken, I think, Johnny, exactly what you alluded to with the time differences that he was able to make up, and them being so small, risk versus reward. I think that's exactly what we're bearing witness to right now.
And I'm going to be honest, I think it's a smart move on Stu's part. I mean, we can't see into his head. We don't know exactly what he's feeling. We don't know what his comfort levels are with his setting for the day, with the track, all those things. But the maturity it takes, Stu Baylor, we know he's a fighter. And for him to say, and he may come in and say, you guys are idiots. I was giving it, 1,000% effort to the final turn. I really thought I was going to catch Ricky, even at the 11.5 mile marker on lap number 6. I really thought I was still going to get him. But seeing his body language, seeing the way he's riding, I think no one's accepting defeat, but I think he's saying, hey, I'm here in 2. I'm going to try to fight Craig off. I'm going to fight Craig off in his mind. And I'm going to let Ricky come back to me because all my efforts aren't bringing him back. And that could be part of it, too. I mean, I can tell you in the past I've heard riders, that win a lot say, well, I know this particular guy, and I don't really worry about how much of a gap he has on me because he's going to come back to me when he tires out or he makes a mistake. But right now, if that was Stu Baylor's game plan, he might have played the wrong hand.
Yeah. Minute 39 seconds back now. Right now behind him, 4.8 seconds. It's still Craig DeLong in the number 3 spot.
Ricky Russell, he's just gotten the second half of the race whipped finally this season.
Yeah.
I mean, like you were saying, Johnny, we talked about it all year, had these amazing starts, and he was coming off the injury and all that. So we kind of expected to see him hey, excel for an hour and a half, and then you hit that 2-hour mark, starts falling off, and I think it's just culmination of his hard work is finally showing for a full 3 hours, and might be clicking at a scary time looking into 2023.
And again, that's Ricky's name is one that's been thrown out. Here is your XC2 leader on screen, the 178 Lyndon Snodgrass, your confirmed 2022 XC2 champion. And here is the 212 of Ricky Russell, still leading the way on that Coastal Racing gas guys. Now, back to the previous shot where we were talking about Ricky, what seems like an eon ago. That is Stu Baylor, 1 minute and 40 seconds, give or take, or 1 minute 30 seconds, give or take. And look at that, right there still is Craig DeLong. Craig DeLong is going to need a serious wipe down after this race. He comes across the finish line, he's going to look like he just crawled out of a coal mine. The dust that he is eating right now is absolutely insane. Doesn't look like it on camera here. This section not as dusty, but man, this guy is just living in Stu Baylor's roost zone and also his dust zone. Ricky Russell out in the field section. And I got to tell you guys, talk about no rain. That field, it felt as though they had run like a asphalt roller with, 300,000 pounds of pressure. I mean, I actually walked out there a little bit on Friday. I didn't get a chance to bike the course, but I kind of like kicked at the dirt. I broke my toes. It was it was that hard. I mean,
it's been baking.
Indiana's going to need some rain so that I don't. Mikey, you might know more about farming. What do they do with this field? Is it just chill till spring, or do they have to like break it up?
On it.
No.
We'll get out there. We'll get some tillage.
Okay,
Yeah,
so tilling goes on this fall.
I don't know. I don't know,
Did
man.
you used to sell farm equipment?
I did, and it was basically your off season. You sell tillage parts.
It depends on what crop you're going
or later. Correct. Well, some guys run no-till. I don't know what the shavers do. What you do, kid?
But if you think about it, you probably will let it set, because if you remember when we come here in the spring, we also use this field as well, and it's not been turned over at that particular point. So they'll probably let it set this spring. One thing I do want to point out, guys, 24 seconds back and fourth place overall is all the time that we see between Lyndon Snodgrass and Craig DeLong right now. And looking at lap times, the biggest part of that was probably posted just in that past lap. So right now, if DeLong slows down any, he could be in some threat if Snodgrass is still riding at a feverish pace.
Let me tell you where the threat is right now, Rodney. The threat is on screen, and the threat is Craig DeLong threatening Stu Baylor, getting closer, closer, closer. He's just riding through the dust as if it's not even there at this point. He's been through this field section 6 times, probably bicycled at a time or two. He doesn't need to see it. He knows what there. He's pinned, and he's going after the 514 of Stu Baylor.
Craig DeLong hauling the mail right now, not even fazed by the dust, like you were saying, Johnny. Kind of hand it to Craig. I mean, he's clicking off the podiums. He's been right there. Really has found a home with Rockstar Husky and doing some pretty big things for him.
Yeah, he's been riding phenomenally, and all season, really. He's been consistent. You know, we've seen him up there battling near the podium, but since coming back from break, there's been a re-energized Craig DeLong, and I think a lot of that came from, up until 2 rounds ago when Jordan was able to put the finishing touches. There is Lyndon Snodgrass. That's your 4th place overall rider. Interesting line there, going outside the berm, getting some fresh traction. Ricky Russell up Ironman Hill. And one more time, steps up and over the top. Crowd a little thinner now. People starting to work their way back towards the finish line. They want to come here. Mikey Waynes on the podium. Local product.
With my voice.
Mikey Waynes. And, yeah, they're working their way back to really start seeing how this one's going to finish out.
Well, again, like yesterday, maybe not the most eventful race itself, but definitely has been somewhat interesting to watch, see how it's going to unfold. As again, Ricky Russell, Stu Baylor, and Craig DeLong, 1, 2, and 3. And it's been that 2nd place position has been the heated position the whole race. Ricky, once he left, I think, turn 3, I don't think there was any indication of, I think he was just gone, and it's just been a battle basically for seconds since that point on.
Especially since the end of the first lap. That gap when we saw him at roughly the 9-mile marker, it was just huge. It was 50-some seconds on lap 1, 58 by the completion of lap 1. And it's like, man, normally when we see that, it's somebody just full sprint and then suddenly it catches up with them. And it's like, all right, well, that was a bit much. Probably shouldn't have done that. Tire out, pump up, whatever it may be. Or the pack kind of assembles, works together, and reels them in, much like what you'll see in cycling, where the peloton will chase down, a breakaway group. And today it's, Stu's been chasing the last 2 laps for sure, the previous 2 laps, and just not able to make up any ground. There's Craig DeLong Stu Baylor just went up the other line. Craig kind of getting out of the main rut there to get a little more drive, and you can see the silt just kicking off the rear tire of that Husqvarna 350. And man, I really think this one may come down to the final miles between these two.
Yeah, very well could. And if we look at the clock right now, if you're wondering how much time we have left, we're about 22 minutes or so before we expect to see Ricky Russell crossing the finish line, which then put another couple minutes. So within 25 minutes, we should know who our top three or how our top three will be breaking down. Right now, as long as no issues arise, we should likely see Russell, Baylor, and DeLong in that position. But again, Snodgrass back there, he could definitely reel in some time and play spoiler just a little bit, I believe, for those riders. Again, looking a little further back in the XE1 Pro class, Jonathan Gerard is now a minute and 30 seconds back in the 4th place position. Tom Knight has not checked in, but he was 31 seconds behind the 4th place rider at the end of lap number 4. So David Knight's nephew, whom I understand will be getting to know a little bit more of in the future.
Here we see Lyndon Snodgrass. This is your XC2 leader at the 3-mile marker, working his way up Ironman Hill. You know, and that, I guess, the way the camera shots have been playing out, but that's kind of on our bad. I mean, this guy's come out, he's running top 5 in his first ever, I believe, his first ever XC1 race, and a phenomenal performance for him. So definitely give that man some love. You know, when you got some David Knight blood lineage, you know, big things are expected of you, and I think it's safe to say that in performance number 1 here, this guy's turning some heads, and we may see him back here with some offers to, you know, come back and race full time, because that's a very impressive performance to be running 5th and that close to a guy like Johnny Gerard, former, you know, current reigning XC1 champ or XC2 champ, who's moving up to the XC2 class and a very sought-after rider. And you know, this Mr. Knight's keeping him right close.
Got him honest. All right, bigger statement. I don't know about statement this late in the season. I don't know if it's a statement. Biggest stamp on the race. Ricky Russell taking a win by, let's call it a minute 45, let's say. Maybe it's a 1:39 last time he checked in. Or Craig DeLong getting around Stu, making a pass at the end. And we're playing in the what-ifs, obviously. Nothing's happened yet, but.
I'm going to go with as far as bigger statement to a broad spectrum of people.
There you go. Okay, yeah.
Ricky Russell, bigger statement.
Okay.
More significant to the individual, Craig DeLong. Craig DeLong, the confidence that he personally gains from passing Stu Baylor is bigger to him than the confidence Ricky Russell gains by winning the race. But as far as a statement to a bunch of people, winning speaks volumes, man. Yeah,
I love it.
That's my 2 cents.
White flag is out, less than 20 minutes to go before we expect to see Ricky Russell in and capturing the final win of 2022. And here at the Yamaha Racing Ironman GNCC, Stu Baylor and Craig DeLong continue to battle it out for 2nd and 3rd overall, but don't count out Lyndon Snodgrass. The Ironman GNCC continues.
I'm Ricky Russell. You're watching GNCC live on RacerTV.com.
Last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won a championship, and it was also my first year using ARMA. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. You know, like especially in the summertime in Florida where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees and you're doing 230s and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have Last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won a championship, and it was also my first year using ARMA. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. You know, like especially in the summertime in Florida where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees and you're doing 230s and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have a good race here or a good day during the week there, but overall I think where I improved the most was my consistency in my recovery.
USMCA has been connecting riders to certified coaches since 2016. There are over 300 active certified coaches on motorcyclecoaching.org, and we recently launched our new mobile app, making it easy to connect with a coach and book your next training session. So here's what you do. Download the Motorcycle Coaching app, then search for coaches and upcoming classes. Once a training session is booked, riders have the option to pay for their class and even get a calendar reminder that will automatically sync to their phone. Get connected today.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. With over 40 years of experience in motorcycle sales and service, we know racing. Our inventory of Yamaha motorcycles, sport bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides is extensive and constantly changing. Stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
OnTrackSchool.com. Check it out.
And welcome back to GNCC Live on RacerTV.com. Rodney Tomlin, Mikey Waynes, and of course Johnny Gallagher as we check in with last night's exciting action. Of course, it's our Halloween celebration along with our pink race this weekend, as we talked about earlier in the episode. But last night, kids came out. They were, I mean, I don't know if this is the biggest one we've had this year or not, but this was huge. The crowd was at full capacity. Of course, Ricky Tyler getting down with these kids on their level, explaining a few things to them, and giving them the full GNCC benefits, of course, with that start and the green flag. Got to say hats off to Griff Potter, as he does a great job of making the race call down there and giving the 10 seconds and everything. And these kids have a time of their life, Mikey. I mean, they look forward to this all day long, and probably many of them will be waiting for February when Big Buck GNCC starts so they can get back out there and do it until they can get on a real bike. So checkers come out, and the great thing about it is these kids all walk away winners as they all get their medallions in remembrance of their experience while here at the GNCC. And as you see, there's a couple different classes we've got. I mean, it's not just one. Some really tiny kids. We got kids on the Stasic stability cycle, some on the Strider type that are the foot-powered, foot-powered, I guess you could say. And checker flags last night lead us into here today. White flags, and less than 15 minutes away from checkers, about 13 and a half if calculations are correct here. And Johnny Gallagher joining us back here. And wow, Johnny, what a day, what a race, what a season. I mean, in these last 12 minutes, as it all winds down, it's hard to believe that this is the final 12 minutes of 2022, man.
The final 12 minutes of 2022. And, you know, Rodney, we say this so often. You know, you see a race, you see a season, you're like, man, this one's going to be hard to top. Somehow GNCC does it. You know, it's in a different way. Each is unique to their own excitement,
Absolutely.
their own, you know, little stories within, their own drama, their own stories of triumphs. You know, last year, obviously, we saw one of the wildest championship battles come right down to the final round. And then also, I mean, come on. The conditions, it was absolutely wild.
Exactly, 180 degrees from what we are here today. And as you said some areas 14 feet of water.
14 and a half. 14
and a half feet of water in some of those low-lying areas. And you can see a complete quagmire. And this was probably the driest part of the day, the driest part of the racetrack on this day.
Absolutely. I mean, there was just standing water in all these ruts. Here we see Josh Strang Stu Baylor battling for a championship, standing there while they try to get that Pro Yamaha running. He submerged it into a water hole. They're pushing the machine, trying to bump start it, anything they could do to get him going.
Yeah, took himself right out of the championship on that day. Remember, we came down to the wire between he and Ben Kelly, and it was just not his day. Baylor obviously a little heartbroken and a little taken back by that. Couldn't get it going back in, but nonetheless, we lived to fight another day, and here we are back at it. Josh Strang was leading, and then we had some pushes made by Thad Duvall, who showed his worth in the mud. And not only did he show his worth, he took the win and does his own little loop out Larry there, and caps off the 2021 GNCC season. We saw Josh Strang took second, and ironically, guess who got third last year? Lyndon Snodgrass from the XC2 was third overall here in, and obviously taking the win in the XC2 250 Pro class. And here we are, just minutes away, seconds if you want to start calculating. Just over 11 minutes is what our calculations are right now, Johnny. And you see Ricky Russell there with the pink sleeves on his coming out on his undergarments, I guess you could say. And
Ricky Towery. Ricky Russell's not quite there.
Yeah, that's
yet,
right.
But
Ricky Towery.
He'll be getting there soon.
So many Ricky. See, man, I've checked out, I guess. But what I'm trying to, the pink, I just want to point that out. The $10,000 check that was presented to the folks here in Montgomery County, locally, from many of the donations from Yamaha, and I think they were somewhere in the neighborhood of $6,000-7,000 they had already generated leading into this race this afternoon. And then, of course, KTM and several other organizations throwing in a little bit. I think around 1,000. But man, I mean, Yamaha's really been digging deep in their pockets for this event for the last several years. And I can remember Donnie Luce coming up to me. I think it was the first year they started doing that, and that is a tradition that has continued. He said, "Yeah, I got the word. I called the home office. We're okay to do this, you know." And it's something. And every year it seems like the donations get bigger and bigger and bigger, which is, I think, evidence that Yamaha is becoming a bigger brand on the track as well.
Yep, absolutely. 2:12 of Ricky Russell through the Monster Mile at mile number 9, still leading the way. And Rodney, you're exactly right. I mean, I remember when that whole program started, and Yamaha said, "Well, you know, we'll go ahead and give a little bit of money for anybody that wins on a Yamaha, anybody that wins a championship on a Yamaha, and we'll see what it adds up to." Thinking, you know, a couple $1,000s here or there, and suddenly it went from, you know, a couple thousand to 5,000. You know, now we're up into the 7,000 plus, I think, range. And like you said, it's they're happy to invest in the brand, to invest in the sport, and to invest in a cure, a search for the cure for cancer, for breast cancer. Obviously, I believe is where the majority of the money raised here goes to the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation. No? Okay.
No, it actually goes locally here. There's an organization where they help local families and help them with electric bills, maybe groceries, whatever, those things. They do counseling and things like that for people that have gone through and are going in and coming out. It's a great support network, and I mean, to tell you honestly, what they've got going on here in Montgomery County, Indiana, is an amazing thing, and we are certainly proud to be able to support that.
Well, I'll tell you what, one thing that may have changed, that didn't seem to be a minute and 30 seconds. I know we were talking there, but Stu Baylor has come through, and I think he's a little closer to Ricky Russell. We are at the 9-mile marker. Ricky Russell very possibly playing it safe. It was definitely still a sizable lead, a comfortable lead, but something may have transpired between we saw them last runabouts the 4-mile marker, and now here at the 9. It seems that gap a little bit smaller. I wouldn't say anything to panic about if you're a Ricky Russell fan at home, but it appeared Stu Baylor, and he's still being pressured by Craig DeLong, so he's not quite as close as we saw him last, but Craig DeLong's still lurking there in the shadows. One mistake from Stu Baylor, Craig DeLong's going to try and take that second place position away.
Well, it'll be interesting to see whether or not Baylor and DeLong are closing that gap on Russell or not. We'll be seeing them again here at the 10-mile marker, I think, in just a few moments, so we'll get maybe a little better look at that, but still a pretty big gap, as we said, not insurmountable, but at the same time it's proving to be a rather large one to bridge, and again, risk versus reward in these circumstances and situations. And like you said, Johnny, Stu really seems to be displaying some real maturity in his decisions today.
there is your 4th place rider in the XC1 class, Johnny Gerard, the 969 machine on that Coastal Racing gas in his debut ride in the XC1 class. Will be full-time in this class next year, so kind of getting his feet wet, seeing what it's all about, riding that machine, obviously on a 350 this weekend and instead of a 250, which he would normally ride in the XC2 class.
I think we may see some changes out of him possibly next year. I know there's a lot of rumblings going on about this guy going there, guy going here. There's going to be a lot, even some color changes for several different folks out there. I think if you aren't in the loop and haven't heard some of the news, there's going to be some jaw dropping, I think, and some other probably say, well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you know, it's so actually if you look there, he has actually gotten around Lyndon Snodgrass and potentially might have almost enough time on him there to start considering getting himself up into that 4th place position overall ahead of Lyndon. Again, if you're Lyndon Snodgrass, you know, you're probably not as worried about your overall finish, especially since starting to look like that shot at a podium likely has slipped away. So 4th versus 5th overall, not a huge difference there. You want to protect that lead in that XC2 class that you've worked so hard to maintain, to earn and maintain all day. And Johnny Gerard really just trying to make a statement. But yeah, definitely a lot of, you know, Jordan Ashburn and I were talking about that off camera, you know, a lot of silly season rumors, who's where, who's riding what. And honestly, I don't think there's a lot of, I got to watch what I say here, but I don't think there's a lot of certainty in terms of what people think is going to happen versus what's actually happening. There's a lot of changes on the horizon. I'm not trying to be cryptic when I say that because I don't know what's signed and what isn't, but in terms of what people are saying they've got going on, we're going to see a very different XC1 class next year in terms of who's riding what, who's riding for who, and how that class looks when they line up.
Absolutely. And, you know, an interesting note to point, and I think we've pointed this out in the past, but that XC2 250 Pro class right now is an international podium that we're looking at with our top 3 riders in that one, Lyndon Snodgrass, Liam Draper, and Rui Barbosa right now. So just again, you know, to see that, and I can remember when someone would visit from England or from Europe or something in GNCC when I began this, and now this has become the pinnacle of, it seems like, off-road racing for many riders across the globe. And to see the XC250 Pro class all international like that is kind of exciting for me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it just speaks volumes about how highly regarded internationally this series is, and we've obviously heard rumors about some really top-tier international talent wanting to come here. We're speaking about, you know, riders like Andrea Verona, Joseph Garcia. You know, Garcia obviously came here, raced the first 2 rounds, was scheduled to race a few more, had an injury to his hand, had to get back, get surgery, get that rehab so he could compete in his Spanish championship and also the European Enduro Championship, where that's his main series that he focuses on. From what I'm hearing, likely won't see him here in 2023, but definitely conversations about for the future. We may see him here along with some other top talent. But we got plenty of homegrown talent like that guy right there, Stu Baylor, and not that guy right there. So the gap has opened up a little bit from Stu Baylor to Craig DeLong. There is Craig on the 342 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna. There is actually Craig. There was another lap rider in between there. And he's, you know, he's pushing the pace, and he's definitely still within striking distance, but I just don't think close enough here with only a little over 2 miles remaining to make a move on Stu unless something goes awry for Stu.
You know, I know this is not the same situation scenario unfolding, but if you look back to this morning's WXC battle with Taylor Jones and Rachel Archer, you know, it looked like Taylor had everything in command and control up until the final lap. And, you know, the last radio report I remember hearing before Rachel Archer was able to take over the lead is that Taylor has hit lap traffic. And this was on the final lap leading into the finish region, you know, probably 3 or 4 miles away. And, you know, we just saw maybe a little bit of that gap starting to shrink. Now, whether or not it's going to be that, we're only looking at 20 seconds this morning between those guys. But, you know, maybe we are starting to see that gap shrink between first and second place right now. But, you know, what is the cause? If it is, you know, I guess still left to be answered.
Yeah, it seems like Ricky has enough of a gap that he's probably safe there with that lead. I mean, he's riding pretty smart, likely pretty conservatively conservatively in the sections where he could potentially make a mistake, hit the ground. You know, at this point, I mean, he could hit the ground probably half dozen times between here and the finish, still have things handled, but you don't want to take a chance on damaging your machinery or yourself and throw that win away. So he's riding smart, and even, like I said, that gap between Stu and Craig has opened up enough now that it seems like that one is all but decided. But, you know, there's still a couple miles of racing, and as quickly as those gaps open up, they can close right back up. One connection with the lapper, you know, little bit of a bike issue, a little bit of a rider issue, whatever it may be. So that's why we run the races, and they're not over till checkered flag waves.
Well, within the next 3 minutes, we should be expecting to see Ricky Russell check in at the finish line with checkers waving according to timing and scoring. Baylor, again, 1:40 seconds back at the end of lap number 5, and rolling into this one. And again, the battle between Baylor and DeLong is one that we've been watching. The one in second place, it seems to be widening out just a little bit, but just like Johnny made point in reference to, as quickly as it opened up, it can close back up, especially at this juncture in the race, and riders really starting to tighten up a bunch up toward the end of this lap.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see the lapped riders really kind of coming thick through here, and that's going to wreak havoc on these guys that are still battling. But, you know, it's at this point, you know, the gaps have opened up. There just isn't the wheel-to-wheel battling that we were seeing earlier. It looks like here we do have Ricky Russell appears to be, and it looks like that should be the section out along the edge of the parking lot. So he's going to kind of double out here. Yep, going around going around that big station there. He's going to come out, pop into this field, cross over this little road, and he is on his way into the GBC Tires pit stop area. And from there, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump to the finish line, where I'm sure an elated Coastal Racing crew, including his mechanic, DK, are going to be waiting for this guy right here, Ricky Russell. It's been a struggle of a season. You know, he's been riding so well lately, but early in the season, you know, riddled with injuries, just couldn't quite seem to find that flow, find the magic. Found it at Mason-Dixon, and he's been so close again so many times since then in the 4 races that we've had, and looking like he is going to put it back up on top of the box in the center spot here today at the Yamaha Racing Ironman GNCC.
Well, we're getting a little bit of a decent view of this final and closing moments for Ricky Russell as he winds his way through the trees here and now into the pit area one final time as he'll go through, get the pit board, and I'm sure DK is down there just elated and excited. Let him know that he's got this one in the bag. Just hold on to it till he gets to the finish line.
Yeah, and it really is. He's going to turn. He's going to run what was the ATV Pro Pits section yesterday right here. He's going to run back, and then he's got one little wood section about 100 yards long, pop out on a moto track 4 or 5 turns, and he'll see Ricky Towery with a checkered flag in hand. And man, smiling ear to ear is what I think we're going to see from this guy today.
Well, without a doubt, one of the most storied seasons in GNCC history as far as this two-wheel racing is concerned. Riddled with injuries and amazing championship transformations, and of course some exciting wins for different riders across the board as Ricky Russell makes his way across this Ironman Raceway motocross track portion of this final lap of racing, headed toward those checkers. His second win of 2022, setting the stage for what he hopes will be a major challenge for that bid for the championship in 2023.
Fist pump there to the crowd. See some fans waving him on, and a couple more chicanes. And Ricky Russell going to grab his second win of the 2022 season, and he's revving that machine out, punishing it just a little bit more before he crosses the finish line.
And Ricky Russell takes the win at the 2022 Ironman GNCC.
What a start wire to wire, grab the whole shot, never look back. You can see the guys there waiting on him. His fiance, I believe now, Susanna. If I'm incorrect and it's girlfriend, I apologize, but I believe fiance, Auntie Cowan, the brand manager across the KTM Gas and Husky lines, waiting there for him. You can see his face just absolutely brown from all the dust, and he was out front all day.
Absolutely, that's an interesting point to ponder as well. But I'm sure a lot of that probably chewed on through that last lap and a half or so as Stu Baylor winds his way through the trees, and settles for a solid second place position, and Johnny seemingly a little more by himself here as he crosses the finish line on this final lap, as Craig DeLong, who fought valiantly today in battling for that second place position, we expect to come across the line here in just a few moments in third place. But tell you, good to see that right there. Donnie there with him, standing by his side, as Craig DeLong does take the checkers for the third place position, and that pretty much puts a wrap, at least on the top three here in the 2022 GNCC season. And Mikey Waynes we see down there. You can see, even just being trackside today, what kind of dusty conditions you can find yourself in, looking at Mikey's hat out there, and as we saw on Ricky Russell's face there just a few moments ago. So you know that had to be part of the challenges from today, not only from a visual standpoint, but even from a breathing standpoint. And right now, Mikey Wayne's readying himself as he is ready to talk to your 2022 Yamaha Racing Ironman GNCC overall winner.
Hey, thanks, Rodney. Down here with Ricky Russell. Oh, thank you. Down here with Ricky Russell. He's shooting the stuff. I almost said a bad word to close out the season. Hey, Ricky Russell, man, you've been there close early in a lot of races this year. You've had a couple slip away from you. You had a good one that you won. This one has got to feel special, buddy, to close out the season this way.
No doubt. I won one, but there were so many I let slip away, which is so frustrating. And today I was like, don't do it again. I was just kind of managing the race. I got a good start. Gas fired up awesome, got the whole shot, and kind of just got away early and just was able to manage that gap. I kept getting pit boards and kept staying about the same. And man, that last lap felt long because I was trying to baby it and stay out of the silt, but wanted to get to the finish sooner than later.
Out there, the great start, and then absolutely, how did Johnny put it, run away and hide. You did that, dude. I mean, you just seem to never let up, putting on a blistering pace, a clinic out there today, man. What made the difference for you today?
Oh, man, I don't really know what made the difference. Just felt good. Everything was clicking, and even the last round it was, and then we had some little issues where I got stuck on a hill climb, and then I broke my shifter. So, like I said, there's been so many slip away. I just felt like I was able to put it all together and just, run away and hide early. I knew that was kind of my game plan into it, get the whole shot, and hopefully put in a good couple laps and get a gap and manage it. And that's exactly what we did. So, went according to plan. It doesn't always do that.
All right, talk about that guy to your DK attack. Come back to cap off the season with DK on your right-hand side right here. What's that mean to you, Ricky?
No, for sure. He's been right there for me. He goes above and beyond for me with my enduro bikes and GNCC bikes. It's amazing. He went through a hell of a time, and I'm glad he's doing good now. He could have very easily not been here right now, and he came back, and this is his first race back, and we did it for him. It's awesome.
Hey, I don't normally do this. DK, how you feeling, big dog?
I feel great, but right now this is all about Ricky Russell.
And there you go. You guys make some noise. Your winner of the Ironman GNCC. Epic.
Well, there you have it. Ricky Russell taking the big win here today at the Ironman GNCC. And yes, it was a big one. When we look at the tail of the tape, though, it seems a little smaller than what the race day said. 43 seconds is all that it was as Stu Baylor came in behind him. 30 minutes, 57-second lap time for Ricky Russell, so he slowed down considerably. A 30-minute, 2-second lap time for Stu Baylor, which he picked it up a little bit too as well. So a combination of the both. Gaining nearly, about 50 seconds on that final lap, but definitely not enough to take the win, but certainly a solid second place position finish.
Looks like Mikey may be ready with Stu Baylor. Stu's got the 1,000-yard stare. He's looking off for something, but I think Mikey's trying to corral him here.
Now Mikey's got the 1,000-yard stare back in the other direction.
Place finish out there today. Question at you. We were debating, is Stu going to put on a charge late? Is he going to settle? Yes. Position was Ricky riding that well out in front. Did you have anything for him? Well, I don't want to risk it too much in this dust conditions. I'm going to settle into 2.
It was more the second one. Like I felt like I could have gone a little bit faster, but I think if I even would have caught Ricky, there's no way you could really make any moves out there. I mean, the track was almost impossible to make passes on. So I felt comfortable riding in second. Once I got back to second, I knew that was about as good as we could. A minute and a half down, and we did a little bit of yo-yo, but the lap was absolutely awful today. It was pretty rough. Like we normally I think this Ironman race produces a lot of lappers that aren't used to being passed by guys of our caliber, and with the conditions today, like guys would just stop mid-corner, and the worst thing you can do is slow down in this tilt. So it was pretty difficult, but yeah, I just kind of cruised for the most part, and then I saw Craig was getting close, and I put my head down there for the last half of that last lap. But definitely had a little bit more in the tank, but the hill climb that they threw in this week is the reason for my early terrible pace. A minute down. No, it was good all in all. I had a good day. It was dry. God, it was dry.
Off season 2023. We fast forward. Training starts now, right?
Yeah. So I'll take a couple weeks. We got a race down in Dominican with Pastrana and Sipes and those guys putting it on. Little mini vacay. It's kind of going to be like Ironman. You're going down to party, but a race might break out. So. No, that'll probably kick it off right there that first week of December. But for the next few weeks, I'm going back to the tree, sitting there trying to catch a deer.
That's what I meant by training in the deer stand. So, Stu, we're going to let you get to that deer stand. Brush up on your Spanish, dude. Have some fun with Travis and Ryan Sipes.
You know, it's funny.
Quiero una cerveza. That's all he needs to know. Quiero mucho cervezas is even better.
And what does that mean?
I want many beers.
I'm sure he will learn that one fluently. No doubt about that one, as he takes the number 2 spot today. And again, like you said, Johnny, an outstanding performance, not only today by Craig DeLong, but an outstanding performance all season long. Showing
second place on the season.
Yeah, and showing what a great up-and-comer he is for sure. So let's head back down into the winner's circle area where Mikey Waynes is with Craig DeLong.
What's up, Craig? A third place finish for you out there. Good battle right there. Pretty much the entire race into the 3 spot. How you feeling?
All right. Track was rough, man. It wasn't like big soft holes like we normally have here, but it was just like curves, just curve after curve, and man, it was rough on your body. So I struggled to kind of get going there in the beginning, and I got my way into third, and I didn't pit the 1 lap and stretched it, and I caught up to Stu, which I think helped me to get that gap. And when I got close to him, it seemed like he was dragging his feet in front of me. So it's tough to kind of get right up on him. But man, I'm happy to end on a podium, and second for the year is way more than what I expected coming in, and yeah, pretty happy.
As would be the question, how confident are you heading into the off season after such a successful 2022?
Oh, for sure. The confidence is way up for sure. I wasn't really sure. Starting, I wasn't sure where I was going to fit in, and in the beginning I was like a top 5 guy, and then towards the end here I feel like I've been, I feel like I could have won today. I had that, confidence. So that's it's big for me, and that's I'm excited.
Hey, love to hear that, man. Have some fun this off season, and Craig DeLong in 2023. Rodney, Johnny, is he going to be?
Well, I'll tell you, I think he's going to be a contender. There's no doubt in my mind, as he has proven to be that time and time again here in 2022. Johnny, I tell you, what a great way to wrap up a racing championship season. As we alluded to earlier in the broadcast, from what we've seen at round 1 in February, with so many riders falling by the wayside, many coming back and falling back away again. I mean, to get to where we are, what a miracle. And like I said, probably one of the most storied championship seasons we've had in a long, long time.
Yeah, it's been a wild one for sure, and obviously this guy here getting his first XC2 title as well. There's been so many storylines this year, and that's the great thing about it. We're really not that far away from round 1. I know people aren't ready to process that yet, but mid-February, it's race time again, and these guys are all going to be back out here throwing down.
Well, down here with the XC2 champ. First of all, we owe you an interview, a TV interview nonetheless. So officially on Racer TV, congratulations on the XC2 title. And today a little icing on the cake, taking P1.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a good year. You know, coming into Ironman, one tough last one for finish up the season. Man, it was brutal out there today. Really silty and dry. I was just lucky to get up front early and then kind of just rode my race, kept it, tried to keep consistent and not bury it in too much of the berms and dust. But no, it was tough, but happy to make it through to the end and get another win. That's awesome.
Lyndon, we'll do it on air. I think we already know, but what's in store for you moving into next season?
The same thing again next year. Yeah, we're going to run XC2 again, defend the title, and yeah, hopefully we can carry some of this momentum into next year and have a good year.
Hey, number one plate going to look good on this machine.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to look good.
All right, brother. Congratulations to you as your winner of the Ironman GNCC in the XC2 and your national champion in the XC2, Lyndon Snodgrass.
Wow, congratulations to Lyndon on the championship and the win here today in that XC2 250 Pro class as well. And Johnny, looking out over these trees, you can see the dust rising through the trees out there as racers still out on the racetrack. But for the most part, that pretty much does it for our season. Ricky Russell taking the win, Stu Baylor in second, Craig DeLong in third, Snodgrass and Liam Draper in fourth and fifth. Rui Barbosa holding on for third, Ryder Lafferty and Barbosa in sixth overall, third in the class. Ryder Lafferty seventh overall, fourth in class. JoJo Cunningham checking in an eighth place position. Benjamin Herrera in ninth, and Cooper Jones is 10th place overall out of Lawton, Pennsylvania, out of the 250A class. Didn't even see that one coming, so he's going to be a top amateur. And
two 250A riders in the top 10 overall, JoJo Cunningham and Cooper Jones.
Wow,
JoJo
that's
Cunningham.
right. Joe, I was thinking JoJo moved up, but you're right, he had. So JoJo 8th place overall, and Cooper Jones 10th. Wow, pretty impressive. What, again, a historic day. What a great way to close out an amazing championship season. And with that, that's exactly what it does. Just want to say thanks to everybody that has worked so hard here on RacerTV.com. Adam Gordon, our producer, Dylan Acord, our director here today, engineer in charge, of course, Jordan McFadden, systems manager Dan Reinhardt, camera operators Gabe Shaw, Nick Vosberg, Nick V Films, Adam Atkins, Brett Tustin, John Carpenter, and Ryan Gray, and of course our drone pilot, Daniel Rogerson. Amazing job. And on behalf of Johnny Gallagher and Mikey Waynes, I'm Rodney Tomlin saying goodbye, GNCC Racing Nation.